Chapter 22:15. Oh. Yu Tsong was surprised. He looked at Jiang Jiantong and nodded. There is indeed this female cultivator. She is my wife's sister-in-law. May I know why fellow Daoist is looking for her? Humph. Xiao Hua sneered. Of course I'm looking for her. Since there is such a woman, why don't you quickly call her out? Fellow Daoist, you're so strange. Jiang Jiantong looked at Xiao Hua and asked, Xiao Xianrui is a female member of my 100 Herbs Gate. If you don't explain the matter clearly, how can I let you see her? You are indeed jackals of the same tribe. Xiao Hua was angry, and the cloud-suppressing seal flew up again. Senior, don't be anxious. Senior, don't be anxious. Yu Tsong naturally cupped his hands and said, Senior, please explain clearly why you want to see Xiao Xianrui. Otherwise, it will make things difficult for us. Humph, you're making things difficult for us. Xiao Hua looked angry. I've lost all my face. I asked around for a long time before I found out that this slut is a female cultivator from Yellow Flower Ridge. That's why I hurried over. Sigh, Senior, can't you just say it directly? In any case, I don't know who you are. Yu Tsong smiled bitterly. All right. Xiao Hua nodded. Did Xiao Xianrui obtain a spirit accumulation talisman from Chiua City? Ah. Yes, yes. Yu Tsong glanced at Jiang Jiantong. The two of them exchanged glances, and Yu Tsong nodded. Yes, that spirit accumulation talisman was something I obtained from my sect for my disciple. That slut actually used such a method to cheat this old man out of his hands. Not only did this old man lose face, but his disciple's cultivation was also delayed because of this. Tell me, how can this old man not look for her? Xiao Hua said with some hesitation. But Yu Tsong said curiously, Xiao Xianrui didn't say that. Moreover, with Senior's cultivation, how could she trick you? Shut up. Do you still need me to say this? Xiao Hua said angrily, how could this slut tell you the truth in front of you? Call this slut out, this old man. Xiao Hua hesitated again, as if he was hesitating because of 10,000 Flower Valley's involvement. I see. Yu Tsong sighed and said, Senior, you can't get the spirit accumulating talisman from your sect anymore, which will delay your disciple's foundation establishment. It's really... Alas, how should I put it? Only Senior and Xiao Xianrui know about this. Junior can't judge anything from Senior's words. Humph, then call that bitch out. I'll ask her face to face. Xiao Hua said furiously. I'll say it again. Do you think you can meet the women of my 100 Herbs Gate just because you want to? Jiang Jiantong sneered. What you did was disgraceful. But it's also your own fault. There's no reason to blame my 100 Herbs Gate. Fellow Daoist, please go back. Ha ha ha. Xiao Hua laughed heartily. With a tap of his hand, the cloud-suppressing seal flew back into his hand. He said, the 100 Herbs Gate is actually so protective of their own. Then this old man doesn't care too much. This old man just wants to confront Xiao Xianrui face to face and see if this bitch is the one who deceived this old man that day. I want her to give this old man an explanation. Since sect leader Jiang wants to do this, then this old man will give up his face. Just you wait. This old man can't shake your 100 Herbs Gate alone, but this old man and his fellow disciples don't believe that we can't kill all of your 100 Herbs Gate. Then he cupped his hands towards Yu Tsong and said, Fellow Daoist your 10,000 Flowers Valley's face ends here. When this old man comes again, I hope you won't appear here. As he spoke, Xiao Hua's figure flew up, and he actually wanted to go far away. Seeing that Xiao Hua was about to leave without saying anything, Jiang Jiantong hurriedly gave Yu Tsong a look. Yutsong hesitated again. He understood that Jiang Jiantong wanted him to keep Xiaohua here, but the purpose of keeping Xiaohua here was definitely to hand over Xiao Xinrui. He had schemed for so long, wasn't it just to get Xiao Xinrui? Xiao Xinrui had fallen into the hands of this unknown cultivator, and from his tone, he definitely wouldn't let her live. Wouldn't his efforts be in vain? However, if he didn't stop Xiaohua, he would definitely not give up after hearing Xiaohua's words. This guy was already so powerful. If he called a few more fellow disciples and found a few more helpers, even if the 100 Herbs Gate wasn't destroyed, its blood and qi would be greatly damaged. Fellow Daoist, wait. Yutsong hesitated, but Jiang Jiantong couldn't hesitate. He hurriedly called out. Oh. Sect leader Jiang, what, you still don't want this old man to leave? Xiaohua stopped in the air and said coldly, this old man wants to see what means sect leader Jiang has to keep this old man here. Of course not. Jiang Jiantong smiled unusually brightly and cupped his hands, saying, fellow Daoist, you misunderstood. What's there to misunderstand? Although Xiaohua's voice was changed by the confusion, it was still full of doubts. Then, as if he suddenly realized something, he said, could it be? Sect leader Jiang, that's right. Jiang Jiantong said loudly, Xiao Xinrui was naturally the daughter-in-law of my 100 Herbs Gate. No matter where you come from, even if the sect leader of the magnificent sect came in person, this old man wouldn't call her out. Even if she did something wrong. What about now? Xiaohua's heart sank, and he said anxiously. Now. Jiang Jiantong glanced at Yutsong, whose expression had changed, and said coldly, Xiao Xinrui is no longer the daughter-in-law of my 100 Herbs Gate. She's cut off all ties with my 100 Herbs Gate, so this old man naturally has no intention of protecting her. Even if fellow Daoist didn't come today, this old man would have driven her out of 100 Herbs Gate. Ha 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 ha, Xiaohua laughed heartily. He was really happy. His whole body swayed in the air, and he said with a smile, if that's the case, then hurry up and hand that bitch over. This old man still wanted to confront that bitch, but now you've saved me the trouble. Sect leader Jiang's righteousness. This poor Daoist appreciates it. In the future, if there's a chance, I'll repay you well. No need. Jiang Jiantong cupped his hands and said, this old man has always convinced people with reason, and I'll correct any mistakes. Since Xiao Xinrui offended fellow Daoist many years ago, and she's no longer related to my 100 Herbs Gate, I'll naturally hand her over to fellow Daoist to deal with. Then, Jiang Jiantong clapped his hands and sent out a message talisman. Fellow Daoist, Jiang Jiantong waited for the message talisman to be sent out, then smiled apologetically and said, since the matter has been clarified, everything was done by that bitch, Xiao Xinrui, and it has nothing to do with my 100 Herbs Gate. Fellow Daoist, you don't have to hide your identity, right? If possible, my 100 Herbs Gate is very willing to form a good relationship with you. Fellow Daoist, please come to my 100 Herbs Gate's Yellow Flower Ridge for a chat. Ha ha ha, of course. Xiaohua laughed. Since Xiao Xinrui is no longer related to your 100 Herbs Gate, I can rest assured. When Xiao Xinrui comes out, I will naturally give sect leader Jiang an explanation. Don't worry, sect leader Jiang, you're such a righteous person, how can I not give sect leader Jiang a pleasant surprise? Chapter 22:16. Ha ha ha. Jiang Jiantong stroked his beard, thinking how lucky he was. Fortunately, he drove Xiao Xinrui out of 100 Herbs Gate today, otherwise, it would have been really difficult. Xiaohua's background was unknown, and his cultivation level was so high. Needless to say, he had a background, so it would be really unwise for 100 Herbs Gate to become enemies. A moment later, Just as Xiaohua's heart was burning with anxiety, fearing that an accident might happen, two female cultivators appeared from within the formation. One of them was Jiang Yan, who was at the early stage of foundation establishment, and the other one, who was grabbed by the neck by Jiang Yan, was Xiao Xianrui, who was covered in blood and had her cultivation completely destroyed. At this time, not only was Xiao Xianrui's body covered in blood, but her Taoist robe was also covered in mud and dust. She looked no different from a beggar. Moss. Xiaohua's heart trembled, and the whole world in front of him shook as if it had been turned upside down. Xiaohua suddenly woke up, and his gaze was like a sharp sword as he looked in a direction. There was a throbbing in that place just now, and then it disappeared without a trace. There was no abnormality, and it was the same as Xiaohua's perception at the beginning. Yes, it should be Jiang Jintong's secret move. Xiaohua understood, but he didn't remind him. He knew that this was a secret move that Jiang Jiantong had set up to prevent him. However, Xiaohua's most important goal at this time was to capture Xiao Xianrui. As for the rest, even if it was to kill Jiang Jiantong, destroying 100 Herbs Gate was a small matter. Jiang Jiantong saw this and couldn't help but be stunned. He scolded in a low voice, "What's going on? When father left, didn't you say not to do anything?" "Ha, father." Jiang Yan chuckled. "Didn't this bitch want to destroy her cultivation and stay in 100 Herbs Gate? Your daughter just followed her wishes. What's wrong with that?" Jiang Jiantong naturally knew what Jiang Yan was thinking, so he didn't say anything more. He turned around and said, "Fellow Daoist. Xiao Xianrui made some fatal mistakes. In order to stay in my 100 Herbs Gate, she promised to destroy her cultivation. Now she's a secular person. However, I have already promised fellow Daoist that I'll give it to you. This way, I'm afraid you'll save a lot of trouble. MN sect leader Jiang, and Jiang family's young miss, you truly make this poor Daoist happy. You've truly exceeded this poor Daoist's expectations." Xiaohua laughed from extreme anger. "Quickly hand this slut over to this poor Daoist, so this poor Daoist can give you an explanation." Jiang Jiantong was not in a hurry to hand over the person. Instead, he looked at Xiao Xianrui and said with a smile, "Xiao Xianrui, it's not that this old man is not merciless. It's not that this old man doesn't keep his word, but that you've sinned in the past. Now, retribution has come. This old man has no choice but to hand you over. I can't let you stay in my 100 Herbs Gate." Sect leader Jiang, Xiao Xianrui said sadly, "I really don't understand what sin I've committed. I only wanted to stay by my own boy's side. Now, I'm just short of ruining my face. Why are you going back on your words?" "Humph." Jiang Jiantong glanced at Xiaohua and said coldly, "You should ask this fellow Daoist. You took away someone else's divine accumulation talisman and successfully built your foundation. Your strength is also higher than that of ordinary cultivators. However, when you cheated that day, you didn't think that even though you've built your foundation, you're doomed to destruction for doing evil. Now, retribution has come. Destroying your own cultivation base is also karma, isn't it?" "What? I cheated someone else's divine accumulation talisman?" Xiao Xianrui looked at Xiaohua in disbelief and said pitifully, "Senior, when did I ever cheat you of your divine accumulation talisman? Who are you, senior?" "I got this divine accumulation talisman from a strange person. I didn't cheat it from someone else." But then, Xiao Xianrui seemed to realize something. She looked at Jiang Jiantong and said angrily, "Sect leader Jiang, could this be your doing? If you wanted to drive me away, that's fine. But why did you go back on your words after my cultivation was destroyed? Now that you don't want me to be with Jiang Luer, you should kill me." "Enough." Jiang Jiantong didn't want to explain anything to Xiao Xianrui, nor did he want to blame his daughter. He waved his hand and said, "Jiang Yi, hand this slut over to this senior." "Wait." Jiang Yi waved his hand and said with a cold smile, "Senior, you killed an elder of our 100 Herbs Gate and captured our young madam. Our 100 Herbs Gate seems to be very lenient towards you. Can't you tell us the truth and let us know who you are? Why did you let our 100 Herbs Gate suffer like this? Senior, don't you think you should give us an explanation?" Jiang Yi, who was from the 10,000 Flowers Valley, dared to question Xiao Hua. However, he couldn't rule out the possibility that it was Jiang Jintong's order. "Humph." Xiao Hua snorted coldly and said, "Why would I let you know who I am? Since this slut has ended up like this, I'm already happy in my heart. Since you don't want to hand this slut over, let her stay here. I don't want her anymore." As he spoke, Xiao Hua turned around and seemed to intend to fly away. However, right at the instant he turned around, the soaring WIRM shears that had always been sitting cross-legged around him suddenly flashed with a dazzling brilliance, and it tore through the sky like a bolt of lightning. "Ah!" Jiang Yi screamed. The soaring dragon shears cut off Jiang Yi's right hand without any delay. Jiang Yi's protective yellow talisman didn't have any effect at all. Immediately after, Xiao Hua used the bright thunder escape and rushed towards Xiao Xianrui. "What are you doing?" Yu Zong saw Xiao Hua's action and saw Jiang Yi's right hand fall off. He panicked and suddenly realized that Xiao Hua's target was Xiao Xianrui. He unconsciously waved his hand and threw a fireball talisman at Xiao Xianrui. "You dare!" Xiao Hua's speed was still not enough. He pushed his magic power without regard for his life, and the bright thunder escape technique instantly surpassed its limit. Rumble. With just half a thunderous sound, Xiao Hua broke through the sound barrier, and a series of explosions rang out. Xiao Hua's lightning escape technique broke through to the realm of controlling lightning. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Hua rushed to Xiao Xianrui's side. He flung his Taoist robe and the heaven and earth sleeve technique covered Xiao Xianrui. The fireball hit the light around Xiao Xianrui and couldn't penetrate it at all. Evil thief. Seeing Jiang Yi's screams and her broken arm, Jiang Jiantong also woke up. He roared in anger and had the same idea as Yukong. He waved his hand and the spiritual power in his body surged. A big palm print grabbed Xiao Xianrui, who had already been captured. Jiang Jiantong thought that his move would definitely break through Xiao Hua's spell and turn Xiao Xianrui into minced meat. After all, Xiao Hua's strength was only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. Who knew that with a bang sound, the palm fell on the light around Xiao Xianrui and was smashed into pieces. It seemed that it couldn't stop Xiao Xianrui's flying figure. Xiao Hua only wanted to save Xiao Xianrui and didn't have the mind to tangle with Jiang Jiantong and the others. Seeing Xiao Xianrui fly closer, he grabbed her waist and turned around to fly back to the place where he was just a few dozen feet away from 100 Herbs Gate. Seeing Xiao Hua's flying technique, Yu Zong suddenly woke up and immediately thought of Xiao Hua from Weeping Moon City. He anxiously said, "A disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Fellow Daoist, what are you doing? Even if you are a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect, you can't bully me in front of my 100 Herbs Gate." Hearing that Xiao Hua might be a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect, Jiang Jintong's face changed greatly. For 100 Herbs Gate, the Imperial Thunder Sect was no less than a colossus, far from what he could afford to offend. Jiang Yi's hand and Huang Ri's death. I'm afraid there won't be any explanation. What puzzled Jiang Jiantong the most was why Xiao Hua had to capture Xiao Xianrui. But at this moment, Xiao Hua, who had turned around, suddenly pointed his finger. The Tingjiao scissors, which had already flown into the air, slid down again and rushed towards Jiang Yi's neck. Before the Tingjiao scissors could fall, an extremely fierce murderous aura enveloped Jiang Yi. The murderous aura scared Jiang Yi, who almost fainted from the pain, and he shouted, "Father, save me." Jiang Jiantong originally wanted to use the Medicine King Cauldron, but when he saw that Xiao Hua might be a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect, he stopped and hesitated to ask. At this time, seeing that Jiang Yi's life was in danger, he didn't dare to hesitate. The Medicine King Cauldron emitted a bronze brilliance and blocked Xiao Hua's Tingzhou scissors. He roared angrily, "Who dares to hurt my boy?" Looking at Yutsong again, he also hesitated for a moment. He also activated his magical instrument, and several peach blossoms spun and rushed towards Xiao Hua. "Kill!" Xiao Hua roared, showing no mercy. A golden light flashed, and it was the Medicine King Cauldron. Dang! With a loud sound, a golden light splashed on the Medicine King Cauldron, and a very obvious mark was left on it. The Tingzhou scissors were also knocked to the side. Hiss! This Medicine King Cauldron was Jiang Jiantong's magical instrument, and it was not weaker than ordinary magical instruments. At this time, seeing that Xiao Hua actually injured the Medicine King Cauldron effortlessly, he was distressed and shocked. He was once again sure that Xiao Hua's cultivation was definitely not lower than the late stage of foundation establishment. However, what made him even more frightened was still behind. He had just sucked in a breath of cold air when Xiao Hua, whose magical instrument was knocked away, unexpectedly did not retreat, but instead flew towards him. How fast was Xiao Hua at this time? Jiang Jiantong's eyes had just become filled with shock, and Xiao Hua had already flown to within 1 zhang. However, when Xiao Hua opened his mouth, a green and red brilliance flashed, and a kind of fear from the bottom of his heart was born, as if this brilliance was the end of his life. Flying sword. After all, Jiang Jiantong was a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator, and he forcibly broke free from the boundless karma on the execution dream. With a wave of his hand, his defensive magical power was about to block the execution dream. Just as he activated his magical power, suddenly, there was a piercing pain in his divine sense, as if an awl had pierced into his body. "Ah!" Jiang Jiantong involuntarily cried out. How could he still use that technique? Woo! With a sound, the execution dream instantly flew to Jiang Jiantong's throat, and with a burst of light, the flying sword pierced Jiang Jiantong's throat. The moment the execution dream pierced Jiang Jiantong's throat, Jiang Jiantong's body suddenly swayed, and he actually strangely rose a little. The execution dream actually did not pierce his throat, but instead pierced under his throat, where the shoulder blade was. Ha ha ha, Yutsong, you really have good eyesight. When Xiao Hua saw that the execution dream had succeeded, he did not dare to see if he had pierced Jiang Jiantong's vital parts, nor was he in a hurry to kill him. Instead, he turned around and flew away from the scene. He laughed loudly as he removed the mystic insect and shouted loudly, "Fuck you, look who I am." Chapter 22:17. Ah! Xiao Hua. When Jiang Jiantong saw Xiao Hua's slender figure, 2 slender eyebrows, and phoenix-like eyes, he couldn't help but cover his wounds with his hands and cry out in surprise. "That's right, Xiao Hua, you still remember me." Xiao Hua laughed, "Since you know it's me, you must know why I'm here. Isn't it normal for me to kill you? Little junior brother, is it really you?" Xiao Xinrui's eyes flashed with surprise. She looked up at the familiar face and felt a little dizzy. "That's right, senior sister, it's me." Xiao Hua said warmly, "Since I'm here, you can rest assured. Not to mention your injuries, even with your cultivation, I'm sure I can heal you. Just wait for me to kill this bastard who killed me, Heartwarming, and chase away all the disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate. Then I, Heartwarming, will be able to return Yellow Blossom Ridge to myself." Then, Xiaohua raised his voice. Xiaohua, you've been plotting to kill me for decades. I've been thinking about this all the time. I've been thinking about avenging my master, eldest senior brother, and second senior brother. Previously, I still had some merciful thoughts. Since senior sister endured humiliation in 100 Herbs Gate, if she had any feelings for me, it would really make things difficult for me. But now, it seems that I've been thinking too much. Since you know the way of karma, I don't need to say more. That was just a warning. Killing you is as easy as lifting a finger. Come forward obediently and let yours truly kill you. I can also consider whether to release the 100 Herbs Gate's disciples. I'll let your 100 Herbs Gate have a chance to live, or I'll kill all your disciples today. You. Jiang Jintong's expression changed greatly. He knew that Xiaohua's cultivation was not much inferior to his, but he still argued, shameless junior. Back then, I let you live, but now you're biting back like a wolf. You were able to leave Yellow Flower Ridge safely and cultivate to the early stage of foundation establishment. At that time, you were thinking of my kindness. How can you repay kindness with enmity? Ha ha ha! Xiaohua laughed even more wildly. He looked sideways at Xiao Xianrui and said, how could I not know how I escaped from Yellow Flower Ridge that day? If it weren't for my senior sister enduring humiliation and cleverly dealing with him, how could I have escaped from Zhang Fan's hands? Look at my senior sister today, she was actually humiliated to such an extent by all of you. How can this young master show mercy to your 100 Herbs Gate? Furthermore, how could this young master forget the enmity of having his sect annihilated? Today is the day that I, Heartwarming, am reborn, and also the day that your 100 Herbs Gate is destroyed. Little junior brother, don't try to be brave. I'm afraid your cultivation isn't as high as Jiang Jintong's. If you can take senior sister away, then leave now. We'll talk about it when we have the chance in the future. Xiao Xianrui had lost her cultivation, so she didn't know what Xiaohua's cultivation was like. However, she knew what Xiaohua's cultivation was like back then. In her heart, Xiaohua's cultivation was definitely not higher than hers. The battle just now was like a white horse galloping through a crack. How would she know? Hee, senior sister, I'm afraid you've forgotten about the divine accumulation talisman, haven't you? Xiaohua looked at Xiao Xianrui's pale face and said with heartache. However, his attention was still focused on the place where there was some movement just now. He was afraid that Jiang Jintong would suddenly attack. Ah! That cultivator was you. Xiao Xianrui suddenly understood why Xiaohua had mentioned the divine accumulation talisman just now. Unconsciously, a glimmer of light appeared in her eyes, and the gratification in her eyes was more than the surprise. Family members were family members, and others couldn't compare to them. In their hearts, there was only gratification and happiness. Any surprise was secondary. Xiaohua. Jiang Jintong glanced at Xiao Xianrui and said solemnly, I've already told you the truth about Xiao Xianrui. She made a mistake first. It's my right to punish her. If you want to kill me because of this, I won't make things too difficult for you. After all, you don't know much. It's understandable that you did it for your senior sister. You killed an elder of my 100 Herbs Gate, injured this old man's daughter, and even injured this old man. This is the price I have to pay for destroying Xiao Xianrui's cultivation. However, this is my bottom line. As for killing Heartwarming, to tell you the truth, I don't know. If you hate my 100 Herbs Gate because of this, it's your fault. Ha ha ha! Xiaohua looked at the already injured Jiang Jintong. He had a card up his sleeve and wasn't afraid of wasting time. He looked around and saw the several early foundation building elders of 100 Herbs Gate as well as Yu Tsong, whose face showed fear. He laughed and said, who doesn't know how to explain themselves? If it wasn't your 100 Herbs Gate who killed me, Heartwarming. In order to seize my foundation, you killed my master and 2 senior brothers. You forced my master's only daughter to marry your 100 Herbs Gate's young master, so that you could seize my reputation. Now that you saw that my senior sister was useless, you immediately wanted to kill her. But you were afraid that the news would spread and ruin your reputation, so you fabricated some groundless charges to impose on her. Not only did you want to drive her out of Yellow Flower Ridge, but you also destroyed her cultivation. Do you think I can't see through such a sinister act? Forget it. I've already said what I need to say. Why should I dawdle with you? Xiao Hua pointed at the soaring dragon scissors. The scissors once again emitted a golden brilliance, restless. Xiao Hua. You're really wrong. At this point, Jiang Jiantong knew that it was useless to defend himself, but he still didn't want the crime of killing Heartwarming to fall on his head. I really only wanted to marry Heartwarming. Later on, I occupied Yellow Flower Ridge because I saw that Heartwarming wasn't killed. Say no more. Xiao Hua was too lazy to say more and was about to activate his magic power. Xiao Hua, don't forget. Jiang Jiantong suddenly thought of something and hurriedly shouted, I'm not afraid of you. You have to think about Heartwarming's mountain-protecting flood dragon. How could my 100 Herbs Gate kill it? Xiao Hua hesitated slightly, looked at a place not far away, and sneered, you don't have the ability, but that doesn't mean you can't ask for help. Now that things have come to this, why bother explaining? Let me send you to your death. Jiang Jiantong sneered and released the hand that was covering his wound. The bloody hole from before was gradually closing up. This old man has already made it clear to you. If you insist on fighting, do you think this old man will be afraid of you? Yuzong, attack Xiao Xianrui. I want to see how many hands Xiao Hua has. After Jiang Jiantong finished giving the order, he activated the magic power in his body. Jiang Jiantong let out a long howl, and his body swelled like a balloon. His figure gradually stretched, and his aura gradually increased. He actually had the strength close to the Golden Core stage. Haha, how interesting. Xiao Hua wasn't afraid of him and said with a smile, what kind of cultivation method is this? Chapter 22:18. Junior brother. Xiao Xianrui said anxiously, this is my secret technique. It's something that father couldn't cultivate successfully. I'm afraid you're no match for him. Don't be afraid. Xiao Hua said with a smile, when I kill him, I'll take back all my techniques. Junior brother, you can't kill him. Xiao Xianrui suddenly said. What? Xiao Hua was stunned and looked at Xiao Xianrui in disbelief. Why? Xiao Xianrui said in a low voice, like you, I've always suspected that the 100 Herbs sect was behind this. But from Jiang Fanha's observations over the past few decades, I'm afraid that the 100 Herbs sect really has nothing to do with the extermination of my sect. And the most important thing is that Jiang Jiantong is Jiang Luer's grandfather. I don't want Jiang Luer to hate his mother. Xiao Hua was in a difficult position. Looking at Jiang Jiantong and Yuzong, he was really unwilling, but he didn't want to make things difficult for Xiao Xianrui, so he hesitated and said, Senior sister, now that you've become like this, should we just let it go? Little brother is truly unwilling to accept this. Xiao Xianrui nodded and said, Junior brother is now a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect, so you don't have to fear the 10,000 Flowers Valley. Then kill Yuzong. This thief is really hateful. Okay. Xiao Hua's eyes flashed with a trace of fierceness. Also, if possible, take Jiang Luer away from Yellow Flower Ridge. I don't want to leave Jiang Luer here. Xiao Xianrui said again. Okay. Xiao Hua nodded and said, Senior sister, stay by my side. Let's see how I'll vent your anger for you. After saying that, Xiaohua looked at Zhang Jiantong. At this time, Zhang Jiantong was about 3 meters tall, like a demon god. His body flashed with a light green brilliance, which seemed to be a kind of defense. Xiaohua. If you had directly killed me just now, I might have really died in your hands. But you actually gave me time to breathe. That's a big mistake. Zhang Jiantong smiled proudly. I'll show you Heartwarming's unique skill and let you die on Yellow Flower Ridge. With that, Zhang Jiantong's figure swayed and flew toward Xiaohua. Humph. That's all you got. Xiaohua smiled faintly. His shoulders shook, and with a loud cry, the phoenix Dharma body flew out of his body. It flapped its wings that were several meters long and flew towards Zhang Jiantong. Phoenix Dharma body. Haha, so you're also a disciple of an aristocratic family. Zhang Jiantong laughed heartily. Before he could stop laughing, he clenched his fist and smashed it toward the embodiment like a meteor. Ka-cha-cha. A thunderous sound rang out. A bolt of lightning suddenly appeared between the claws of the phoenix Dharma body, and it swiftly struck at Zhang Jiantong's fist. At the same time, the phoenix celestial body flapped its wings, and dark clouds began to cover Yellow Flower Ridge. Thunder and lightning could be heard from the clouds. Wasn't it the thunder summoning technique that the thunder beast Dharma body displayed when Xue Xue was building her foundation? Paw paw paw, the lightning struck Zhang Jiantong, and the purplish-red lightning destroyed the light green brilliance, smashing Zhang Jiantong's fist into pieces. Zhang Jiantong was in pain and was sent flying backward. His body had shrunk somewhat. Isn't it too late to leave now? Xiaohua sneered. The phoenix Dharma body stirred again, and another bolt of lightning descended from the sky, striking at Zhang Jiantong. What kind of cultivator is this? The 100 Herbs sect disciples present were all stunned. Lai Hong, who originally wanted to save Zhang Jiantong, didn't even dare to extend his hand. Zhang Jiantong's strength was already close to the Golden Core realm, but he wasn't a match for Xiaohua's thunder-controlling technique. If he went up, wouldn't he be courting death? Looking at Yutsong again, he had already used his Peach Blossom Dharma artifact. Seeing that Xiaohua didn't care about him and was attacking Zhang Jiantong ferociously, he was secretly delighted. He hurriedly protected himself and secretly thought about how to escape. But just as the phoenix Dharma body summoned the heavenly lightning to kill Zhang Jiantong, Yutsong suddenly saw Xiaohua, who was facing him from the side, suddenly turn his head and grin at him. He was shocked. But just as he thought of using his Dharma power again, he felt pain in his divine sense, and his Dharma power dissipated. A golden light flashed, and the soaring dragon scissors slashed down from the sky, splitting all the peach blossoms into two. Yutsong's physical body was also split into two. However, despite the sharpness of the soaring WIRM scissors, Yutsong's body merely fell flat without any abnormalities. It was only when Xiaohua waved his hand and picked up Yutsong's storage bag that the two pieces of the corpse were separated. Husband. Jiang Hong had already taken an elixir, and the bleeding on her right hand had stopped. Seeing that Yutsong was killed, she couldn't help but shout. Xiaohua squinted at Jiang Hong. He knew that Xiao Xianrui wouldn't let him kill this woman, so he couldn't be bothered with her. The heavenly lightning summoned by the phoenix Dharma body fell like raindrops, striking Zhang Jiantong into the air. His skin and flesh were lacerated, and he could no longer maintain his previous power. Not only was he beaten back to his original state, but he was also severely injured. Senior Xiao, please spare my life. Jiang Fan's voice came. He was the young master of the 100 Herbs sect. With such a big commotion in front of Yellow Flower Ridge, it was impossible for him not to come out. Seeing that Zhang Jiantong was severely injured, He hurriedly explained, Heartwarming's annihilation has nothing to do with my 100 Herbs sect. Please forgive us, Senior Xiao. We will immediately withdraw from Yellow Flower Ridge and return it to you, Senior Xiao. Where is Jiang Luer? Xiao Hua said coldly, bring him out. Yes, Jiang Luer is here. Jiang Fan turned around and said to a disciple of the 100 Herbs sect, quickly bring Jiang Luer over. Yes. The female disciple who was carrying Jiang Luer responded. She hurriedly activated the flying charm and flew toward Xiao Hua, trembling with fear. But at this moment, Jiang Hong, who was not far away, suddenly moved. Her remaining hand grabbed at Jiang Luer like a claw, and she said fiercely, Xiao Xianrui, you killed my husband. I will kill your son. Luer. Xiao Xianrui was shocked. Humph. Xiao Hua sneered. He opened his mouth and the dream-killing flying sword was about to fly out. However, Xiao Hua frowned again. Xiao Hua was confident that he could cut off Jiang Hong's other hand before she could touch Jiang Luer. However, he couldn't kill Jiang Hong because he was afraid that Jiang Hong would hurt Jiang Luer. Idiot! You are too soft-hearted again. A voice that Xiao Hua was very familiar with rang out. Then, a black flame suddenly appeared on top of Jiang Hong's head and enveloped her. Ah! Jiang Hong only had time to scream. Her whole body was surrounded by the black flame, and in a moment, she was burned to ashes. Zhang Qingxiao. Sect leader Zhang. Xiao Hua suddenly turned his head and looked coldly at the source of the voice. He said curiously, you are really everywhere. Last time, I spared your life, but you didn't repent and still showed up in front of me. What are you doing here today? I don't need you to help me. Ha 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 ha. If I wasn't here, wouldn't you have hurt my nephew? Zhang Qingxiao's handsome face gradually appeared in midair. There was joy and heartache on his face. Nephew? Xiao Hua was surprised. He pointed at Jiang Luer and said, how did he become your nephew? He is obviously the child of my senior sister. Qingxiao. You are Qingxiao. Xiao Xianrui didn't care who it was. She only trembled slightly when she heard Zhang Qingxiao's name. However, it wasn't until she took Jiang Luer from the terrified 100 Herbs Gate disciples that she turned to look at the handsome Zhang Qingxiao with an incredulous gaze. Senior sister, forget it. Second senior brother isn't so handsome. Xiao Hua curled his lips. He had a kind of expectation in his heart. He knew that he could change his appearance. As the sect leader of Heavenly Demon Sect, how could Zhang Qingxiao not change his appearance? But the problem was, how did his eccentric second senior brother, who had already been killed, become the sect leader of Heavenly Demon Sect? Although his cultivation wasn't frighteningly high, his secret techniques were endless, far beyond his expectations. Speak. How did my senior sister's child become your nephew? Xiao Hua scolded Zhang Qingxiao. Damn it, how do you call Jiang Luer? Zhang Qingxiao's face showed a trace of strangeness as he scolded again. This. Xiao Hua scratched his head and whispered, Senior sister, how should I call Jiang Luer? Pfft. Xiao Xianrui finally smiled today. She lovingly looked at Jiang Luer who was in her arms and said, you naturally have to call him nephew. Oh, so that's how it is. Xiao Hua's face was slightly embarrassed, but he raised his eyebrows and said, Sect leader Zhang, this nephew is exclusive to me. My senior brother and second senior brother both died. Don't claim to be relatives here for no reason. I don't have a full moon banquet for you to drink. Seeing that Xiao Hua didn't recognize him, Zhang Qingxiao was flustered and exasperated. He pointed his finger and said, damn it, I'm not dead yet. Being cursed by you like this, I'm afraid I'll lose a few more years of my life. Xiao Hua's heart warmed. His eyes were somewhat blurry, but he still didn't dare to believe it. After all, there were too many unfathomable methods on Xiaoyu continent. Who knew if this Zhang Qingshao was the same Zhang Qingshao? You should let me see what my second senior brother looks like. Your captivating appearance is not my second senior brother's skin. Xiao Hua's eyes were fixed on Zhang Qingshao, but his magic power was surging. Motherfucker, I'm handsome to begin with. Now I'm even more charming. How can a beautiful appearance be so good? Zhang Qingshao smugly touched her own face. Her expression was exactly the same as Zhang Qingshao's from before. Then, Zhang Qingshao's face gradually changed. Seeing Zhang Qingshao's face that was so familiar to him that it was as if it was engraved in his mind, Xiao Hua couldn't help but tear up. He knew in his heart that Zhang Qingshao was just a minor character in Heartwarming, and Heartwarming was a small and unknown sect on the Dawn Rain continent. It was impossible for the sect master of a sect like the Heavenly Demon sect to know of Zhang Qingshao. In particular, Heavenly Demon sect rose after Zhang Qingshao's death. Even if this Zhang Qingshao was different from the previous Zhang Qingshao, there must be a connection. Senior sister, do you think this guy is second senior brother? Xiao Hua asked in a low voice. Yes or no, what's the difference? Xiao Xinrui's eyes were also happy. I'm now a cripple. I only have Jiang Luer to rely on. What can others covet? Chapter 22:19. Good. Xiao Hua nodded and said to Zhang Qingshao, since senior sister has temporarily agreed, then I won't doubt you. However, I'm going to leave with senior sister. Do you want to follow? Do you want to explain to me why you were so ruthless to me? Damn it, you said I was ruthless. Zhang Qingshao stomped his feet. I almost died in your hands last time. You still want to explain to me? Hee hee. You didn't die, did you? Xiao Hua smiled sinisterly. Wait until you're dead. With that, Xiao Hua grabbed Xiao Xianrui and flew away. But Zhang Qingshao stood there quietly, not moving an inch. Oh. You're not coming? Xiao Hua asked curiously. Zhang Qingshao narrowed his eyes and looked at the people of 100 Herbs Gate in the distance. He smiled and said, this yellow flower ridge is my territory. The people of 100 Herbs Gate should leave. They've occupied the nest for so many years. It's time for them to scram. But, senior sister has some difficulties. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. Senior sister doesn't allow us to fight. Ha ha ha. Zhang Qingshao clapped his hand and grabbed the blood-red flag. He smiled and said, I'm Heartwarming's second disciple and your second senior brother. I'm the leader here. I'm the one who's right. With that, the small flag in his hand shook. A gust of wind and clouds surged. Dozens of pitch-black lights flashed and attacked the people of 100 Herbs Gate in the air. Qingshao, stop. They're all Jiang Luer's relatives. Xiao Xianrui was shocked, but how could Zhang Qingshao listen? He could have met Xiao Xianrui long ago, but seeing that Xiao Xianrui was happy in 100 Herbs Gate and that Jiang Fan treated her sincerely, he also knew that 100 Herbs Gate was not the culprit who killed Heartwarming, so he didn't bother to interfere. So he sent a disciple to sneak into 100 Herbs Gate and report all the abnormalities to him. When something happened to Xiao Xianrui, the disciple had already sent a message, and Zhang Qingshao also rushed over immediately. He had concealed himself at the side and witnessed everything that Xiao Hua had done. He knew that Xiao Hua had actually come to avenge him, his eldest senior brother, and his master. Naturally, his suspicions towards Xiao Hua had been completely dispelled. However, when he saw Xiao Xianrui in such a miserable state, no matter how profound his cultivation was, he still revealed his killing intent. Only then did Xiao Hua discover it again. Now Xiao Xianrui actually asked him to hold back. How could he listen to Xiao Xianrui? He didn't care about Jiang Luer's relatives. It had nothing to do with Xiao Xianrui or Heartwarming. The people of 100 Herbs Gate were in trouble. Previously, he had seen Xiao Hua's bravery and invincibility, easily injuring Zhang Jiantong. He was already trembling with fear. But who would have thought that the most vicious and merciless was yet to come? The sect master of the Heavenly Demon sect, whose reputation had already spread far and wide, was actually Heartwarming's Zhang Qingshao. A single demonic flame had turned Jiang'an into ashes. Jiang'an was an early-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. The only thing left for everyone was their guts being torn apart. Just now, when they heard Xiao Hua's words, they knew that he was worried about Xiao Xianrui's thoughts. But just as this joy was born, the demonic flame, which was as arrogant as a gust of wind, fell from the sky, accompanied by Zhang Qingxiao's incomparable anger. Everyone didn't dare to be negligent. They hurriedly used their magical powers, yellow talismans, and magic arts, trying to escape. Unfortunately, they were no match for Xiao Hua, and it was even more difficult for them to enter Zhang Qingxiao's eyes. Together with the seriously injured Jiang Jiantong and Jiang Fan, they were all killed by Zhang Qingxiao without much resistance. Seeing the regret and horror on Jiang Fan's face, Xiao Xianrui was also very anxious. After all, he was Jiang Luer's biological father. She didn't know how to explain it to Jiang Luer when she grew up. However, just as Jiang Fan's body was ignited by the black flame, and he was turned into ashes with a few painful screams, Xiao Xianrui's heart suddenly relaxed, as if all the heavy burden and oppression had disappeared in an instant. Alas! A trace of helplessness flashed in Xiao Hua's eyes, and he thought to himself, if I had known this would happen, why did I do it in the first place? The 100 Herbs Gate schemed against me, Heartwarming, and only occupied Yellow Flower Ridge for a few more decades. Their sphere of influence has increased a lot, but now they have all fallen into my hands again. The 100 Herbs Gate. I'm afraid it will cease to exist from now on. Go. Kill all the disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate. Zhang Qingxiao ordered in a low voice after killing Jiang Jiantong and the others. The several cultivators at the middle stage of Foundation establishment who had received the order later all bowed and said, "We understand." Qingxiao. Xiao Xianrui said anxiously, "The ordinary disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate don't deserve to die. Let them live." Humph, how dare they trample on my Yellow Flower Ridge? These disciples deserve to die. Zhang Qingxiao was unmoved and ordered again, "Kill all the disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate on Medicine Gnome Peak." Yes. Qingxiao. Xiao Xianrui said anxiously, "I know you have great power now and can decide the life and death of thousands of people with a word. But you can't abuse it like this. The disciples of the 100 Herbs Gate on Medicine Gnome Peak are innocent. You can't kill all of them." Humph, I didn't intend to destroy the 100 Herbs Gate. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiao Xianrui and said, "However, since the 100 Herbs Gate dared to torture junior sister like this, I won't be able to calm my anger if I don't kill all of them. Besides, if I want to kill, I have to kill to the end. If you dilly-dally like junior brother, who knows what the remnants of the 100 Herbs Gate will do in the future. It won't be good for junior sister or Jiang Luer." Then, Zhang Qingxiao looked up at the bleeding Yellow Flower Ridge and said coldly, "The world can betray me, Zhang Qingxiao, and my Heavenly Demon sect. But they can't betray my junior sister, my senior brother, my master, and Heartwarming. Those who hurt my loved ones, even if they are thousands of miles away, I will kill them all." Sigh. Xiaohua knew that what Zhang Qingxiao said was the truth, and what he did was very satisfying. But he always felt that he was ruthless, and compassion grew in his heart. And since Zhang Qingxiao had made a move, he couldn't interfere. Forget it. If thousands of people do the same thing, I'm afraid there will be thousands of different ways. I'm afraid there will be thousands of thoughts. I have my own way of doing things. I have a clear conscience, and a clear conscience. I don't care about others. Xiaohua understood. I'm afraid that second senior brother's way of doing things is also clear of his heart and clear of his world. This is the only way. He is the heavenly demon sect leader, and I am not. That. Xiaohua, don't you feel tired standing in the air? After a while, Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiaohua and said, Junior sister, why don't you let me support you for a while? If it was the previous Zhang Qingxiao, Xiaohua wouldn't say a word. But now, Xiaohua really couldn't be at ease. Chapter 22:20. Hold lure for a while. Jiang Luer was already tired and had fallen asleep in Xiao Xianrui's arms. He didn't know that all his family members had been killed except for his mother. Xiao Xianrui's injuries hadn't healed, so she felt weak holding him. Okay. Zhang Qingxiao smacked her lips and flew over. She took Jiang Luer while Xiaohua was slightly on guard. Poor Luer. Xiao Xianrui looked at Zhang Qingxiao, who was not very familiar with holding the child, and couldn't help but sigh. Half a day ago, his mother was about to be driven away, and he almost recognized someone else as his mother. Now his mother is safe, and his father and grandfather are gone. Tisk. Zhang Qingxiao sneered. Since he can pretend to be his mother, why can't he pretend to be his father and grandfather? Even if it's an aunt, we can find her again. Okay. Xiao Xianrui already understood Zhang Qingxiao's meaning. He showed his true identity in front of the disciples of the 100 Herbs sect, and revealed his true identity. Jiang Luer was still young, and his memory was not clear. It was very easy to find a few cultivators to be his family members. Wasn't that Jiang Jintung's plan? Anyway, his mother was still alive, so he had to confirm the truth himself. After a while, a disciple of the Heavenly Devil sect in the middle stage of Foundation establishment came back to report that all the disciples of the 100 Herbs sect in Yellow Flower Ridge had been killed. Well, have you cleaned it up? Zhang Qingxiao looked at the disciple and asked. Yes, sect master knows. There are no traces left, but please enter the mountain to take a look. Okay, you all go to the Medicine Farmer Peak. Zhang Qingxiao waved her hand and ordered. Yes, once the disciple received the order, he turned around and flew away without hesitation. Let's go. Zhang Qingxiao landed in front of the fog with Jiang Luer in her arms and said with a smile, I haven't been back to Yellow Flower Ridge for many years. Now I'm going back with junior sister and junior brother. Please lead the way. Okay. Xiao Xianrui's eyes reddened. She thought of the scene when she, Gong Mingwei, and Zhang Qingxiao returned from the trade fair in Jinghua City. However, when she slapped her storage bag, her heart ached. She looked up and said, Second senior brother, I don't have any cultivation. I'm afraid I can't lead the way. You should do it, second senior brother. Hee, junior sister, don't panic. I have already sent people to Xuanyan School. It is said that Xuanyan School has the legendary heaven mending pill. This pill should be able to repair your dantian. Zhang Qingxiao smiled and comforted Xiao Xianrui. Xiaohua said disdainfully, Second senior brother, you're only thinking of going to Xuanyan School to look for some heaven mend pill now. Don't you have any divine abilities or methods? Doesn't the heavenly demon sect claim to have everything? Damn you. Zhang Qingxiao said angrily, you came first, I was one step later than you. Why didn't you protect your junior sister? Even if I didn't scold you, you would still be so smug. What kind of thing is that heavenly mending pill? How could I possibly carry it around with me? Ha! Xiao Hua patted his storage pouch and took out a jade bottle. He handed it to Xiao Xianrui and said, Senior sister, look at you. Little brother already told you that cultivation is nothing. Little brother has a heaven-mending pill here. Senior sister, in a moment, find a time to take it. In a few days, your dantian will be restored. Ah! You really have a heaven-mending pill? Not to mention Xiao Xinrui, even Zhang Qingxiao was stunned. However, Zhang Qingxiao immediately came to his senses. He pointed at Xiao Hua and said, of course. I forgot that you know how to concoct pills. Back then, when Master taught me how to concoct pills, I noticed that you were abnormal. When Xiao Yuehong was mentioned, Zhang Qingxiao was a little sad. Yes, I do know how to concoct pills. This heaven-mending pill was also concocted by me. Xiao Hua didn't hide it and answered frankly. Zhang Qingxiao reached out and took the jade bottle from Xiao Hua. He opened it and looked. His face showed surprise, even a kind of shock. He glanced at Xiao Hua, seemingly in disbelief. Xiao Hua naturally knew Zhang Qingxiao's doubts. He waved his hand and said, Second senior brother, don't ask. I lost my memory. You asked too much. I don't know myself. Yes, I understand. Zhang Qingxiao nodded slightly and handed the jade bottle to Xiao Xinrui. He said, Junior sister, this pill is definitely a heaven-mending pill. Moreover, it is one of a kind in the Dawn Rain continent. It was concocted using ancient alchemy techniques. You only need to consume it, and you will recover your cultivation in less than 3 days. Moreover, your meridians and dantian will definitely be tougher than before. Your cultivation will increase in a matter of days. Thank you, junior brother. Xiao Xianrui was overjoyed. She took the jade bottle and said with a smile. Xiao Hua waved his hand. Senior sister, don't thank me. If I had come a few days earlier, perhaps there wouldn't be so many things. Humph, of course. Zhang Qingxiao also scolded. Your cultivation was long enough to protect junior sister. Why didn't you come earlier? Alas, didn't I want to exterminate the 100 Herbs sect? My previous cultivation wasn't enough to eliminate Jiang Jiantong and the others, so I delayed until today. Xiao Hua said with a bitter smile. When I met you 3 years ago, you could already kill Jiang Jiantong. Zhang Qingxiao scolded. You only know how to show off in front of me. You didn't dare to come and exterminate the 100 Herbs sect. You're too cautious. Don't talk about me. Xiao Hua retorted. You're in charge of the entire Heavenly Demon sect. Although I don't know what the Heavenly Demon sect is like now, it should be easy to exterminate the 100 Herbs sect, right? Zhang Qingxiao was so angry that the veins on his head bulged, but he had nothing to say. His feelings for Xiao Xianrui were different from Xiao Hua's feelings for her. How could he easily disturb her happiness? Since you're here now, it's not too late. Let's not talk about each other anymore. Xiao Xianrui advised. You two are still the same as before, quarreling whenever you meet. However, I'm afraid Qingxiao can't casually bully Xiao Hua now. He wants to. Xiao Hua bared his teeth. Only I care about it. Zhang Qingxiao rolled his eyes. Then, Zhang Qingxiao asked again, by the way, do you still have the heavenly pill? Give me a few. Look, senior sister. You just said you won't bully me, but now you want to do the evil things of the past again. Xiao Hua looked innocent, as if he was complaining to Xiao Xianrui, but his hands were not slow. He patted his storage bag and took out 4 more pills. If you don't give them to me, who else can you give them to? Zhang Qingxiao took them happily. It's better to give them to a family member than to others. You. Seeing that Zhang Qingxiao was even more greedy than Qian Diheng, Xiao Hua was really speechless. Second senior brother. Xiao Xianrui said with a smile. Second senior brother, please open the restriction on my Heartwarming. I also want to go home early. Okay. Hearing the words, I also want to go home early, Zhang Qingxiao's tears almost fell. This sentence awakened his memories that were difficult to erase. Zhang Qingxiao patted her storage bag, took out a jade tablet, and gently tapped it. A faint brilliance flashed, and a wave of magic power from the jade tablet shot into the fog. The fog seemed to be pushed aside by someone, and a passage flashed. Let's go, junior sister, junior brother. Zhang Qingxiao called out, and slowly flew in first. Her speed was no different from the 8th level of Qi refinement. Xiao Hua also slowly flew into the fog with Xiao Xianrui. When Xiao Hua saw the welcome pavilion that had been repaired and looked even more luxurious, Xiao Hua's heart also ached. People often said that people were different, wasn't that true? Moreover, people were people of today, not people of the past. People were also not things of the past. But fortunately, everything on Yellow Flower Ridge showed the original state of Heartwarming, and Xiao Hua could still think of the laughter from decades ago. The 3 of them were not in a hurry to fly to Minushi Peak. Instead, they flew as they walked. When they saw some familiar places, they stopped and looked again, unable to bear to leave. Although Xiao Xianrui had lived here for decades, she had never been like this before. She had never found her past memories in a place that she was familiar with. The entire Yellow Flower Ridge was quiet, and it was still the same as the small sect of 3.5 disciples from before. There were not many people. The dead were no longer here, the fugitives had returned, and the new people did not understand. It was as if the reincarnation of this world had come again. The sound of the pine trees, the night wind, and the 3 of them each had their own sincere feelings. Although they knew that the past was gone, they still cherished the memory. The journey that could be finished quickly took the 3 of them more than an hour. Not bad. Seeing that Mingli Peak was in sight, Xiao Hua couldn't help but praise, second senior brother, your subordinates have really benefited greatly. They've killed so many people, yet there's actually not a trace of blood left behind. This little brother actually looks the same as he did several decades ago. TSK. You can't even do such a small thing. How can you be my subordinate? Zhang Qingxiao said proudly, but, listening to your words, it seems a little ironic. No, I don't mean anything else this time. If you let the dirty blood of those people stain the rocks of my Yellow Flower Ridge, I will be the first to not spare you. Xiao Hua said with a smile. Let's go. Xiao Xianrui also nodded and said, there is no big change here, but Minushi Peak and other places have been changed by the 100 Herbs sect. It is very different from before. Junior sister, don't worry. Zhang Qingxiao said, give me a few days. I will definitely restore it to its former appearance. Forget it, no need. Xiao Xianrui said sadly, it is already like this. What's the point of changing it again? Junior sister, don't be sad. Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand and said, Heartwarming will start a sect from today. Senior sister will be the head, and Jiang Luer will be the young head. I will arrange for people to help Heartwarming recruit disciples. Second senior brother, you don't want to take charge of Heartwarming again, do you? Xiao Hua suddenly asked. Don't worry. I already have the Heavenly Demon sect. Why would I want Heartwarming? This Heartwarming belongs to our master, junior sister, and LoveLore. I will never interfere in any of Heartwarming's matters. Zhang Qingxiao, of course, knew what Xiaohua meant and hurriedly explained. Chapter 22-21. Then, Xiaohua and the others came to the guest hall. The huge guest hall had a completely new look. It was different from before, but now it was as cold as before. Entering the guest hall, Xiaohua carefully helped Xiao Xianrui to the main seat. Xiao Xianrui glanced at Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao and did not refuse. She was injured twice in a row. Although she had taken the Wu Xian pill refined by Xiaohua, because she did not have true essence, it was impossible for her to recover in a short time. She could only lean on the chair. What? LoveLore suddenly cried. Obviously, after waking up and seeing that the person holding her was not her mother, she started to make a fuss. Zhang Qingxiao hurriedly got up and quickly handed LoveLore to Xiao Xianrui. Once the child was in Xiao Xianrui's arms, she was peaceful. Her pair of energetic little eyes looked around and often fell on Xiaohua and Zhang Qingxiao. I'll have to trouble you to rebuild Heartwarming, second senior brother. Xiaohua knew that his time was limited, and it was impossible for him to command so many disciples like Zhang Qingxiao. Yes, I'll do it. You don't have to worry. Zhang Qingxiao smiled and said, this has been my wish for many years. I believe that Heartwarming will definitely not be a nameless small sect in the future. Good. Xiaohua nodded and asked again, however, since you and I have recognized each other, I have to ask. You already knew my identity, so why did you repeatedly try to kill me? Damn it. Do you still need to say it? Zhang Qingxiao said coldly, what are you like in Heartwarming? What are you like outside of Heartwarming? Look at your current cultivation, you can easily kill Jiang Jiantong. If I didn't suspect you, if I didn't put you on the list of suspects to kill Heartwarming, would I still be in charge of the Heavenly Demon Sect? In fact, if you didn't take the initiative to come to Yellow Flower Ridge to take revenge today, I would still suspect you. Besides, didn't I let you go the first time? If I didn't show mercy, do you think you could escape the first time? Yin Meng is now the deputy sect leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect. This guy is definitely a devil cultivator. Oh, right, what did you take from him? It seems to be a Grand Universe teleportation token. This. Xiaohua patted his storage bag and took out the Universal teleportation token. Yes, this is it. Zhang Qingxiao nodded and did not take it. She said, this item is very important. It should be related to the devil cultivators of the Cultivation Empire. They were playing a big game of chess, and this thing was the key. Keep this item well. I can't let that bastard get it for the time being. That guy still looks down on me, thinking that I'm just a country bumpkin. He wants to play with me. I want to see who will have the last laugh. Xiaohua nodded and kept the Grand Universe teleportation token into his spatial ring. There was probably no place safer than his spatial ring on the Dawn Rain continent. Then, Xiaohua asked, second martial brother. Since you can doubt this little brother, then this little brother also wants to ask you. Didn't you die at Yellow Flower Ridge that day? How did he come back to life? Zhang Qingxiao thought for a moment and smiled. The reason is very simple. I wasn't killed by that nascent soul cultivator that day. Nascent soul. Xiaohua was stunned. How could he be a nascent soul cultivator? Why did he come to my Yellow Flower Ridge? It wasn't just one. Zhang Qingxiao said coldly. It was 3. It's just that I didn't see clearly which 3 nascent soul cultivators they were. As for why they came to my Yellow Flower Ridge, I still don't know. Oh, Xiaohua suddenly thought of Little White and those 3 drops of white dragon blood. However, Zhang Qingshao said again, that nascent soul cultivator's cultivation was really too high. When I came back from Medicine Farmer Peak with eldest Marshall brother, before I could see clearly, I fainted from the pain in my chest. When I woke up, it was another opportunity. However, this matter is a bit strange, so I can't tell you. Tisk. Xiao Hua sneered. Then are you still Zhang Qingshao? Tisk, you're the one who's Tisk. Zhang Qingshao said angrily. If you have the ability, then tell me your Buddhist cultivation. What's going on? This. Xiao Hua said embarrassedly, just pretend that I didn't say anything. Xiao Xianrui laughed. You're all my family. Even if you leave me aside, you're still fellow disciples. There's no need to talk about kinship. Even if there's some secret, as long as it doesn't affect others, there's no need to tell others. All right. Zhang Qingshao nodded. There's no need to say more. I accidentally took control of a rogue cultivator organization called Heaven Forsaken and changed it to Heavenly Demon Sect. Your Heavenly Demon Sect is really powerful. Xiao Hua sneered. What yin-yang dual cultivation? What Tao of Acacia? What's wrong with that? Zhang Qingshao retorted. Heavenly Demon Sect, it means that Heavenly Demon is demon. This Tao of Acacia is nothing. Second Marshall brother, your appearance, how did it become like this? Xiao Xianrui hurriedly changed the topic and asked another question. Oh, I got a mother-child spirit fruit at the auction in Yenyuan City. Zhang Qingshao didn't hide it from Xiao Xianrui and said with a smile. Ah. That mysterious cultivator with the complete qi refinement technique is you? Xiao Hua said in surprise. Yeah. Could it be that you were also at the auction? Zhang Qingshao was stunned and said with a smile, you can't be the one who got that technique, right? Looking at Zhang Qingshao's smiling face, Xiao Hua understood. No wonder there was something similar to the blood shadow technique in that technique. It turned out that it was this guy's doing. Damn it. If it wasn't me, who else could it be? Xiao Hua said angrily. I was almost killed by your technique. It's really you. Hearing this, Zhang Qingshao hurriedly stood up and said, Quick, let me take a look. You didn't really fall for it, did you? No need. Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, I've already seen through that technique of yours. That's good. Zhang Qingshao said embarrassedly. I only wanted to deceive others, but I didn't expect to deceive my own people. And that technique is not bad. Do you have more? Xiao Hua's face was full of indignation. Quickly take it out and comfort my wounded heart. Of course. Zhang Qingshao hurriedly clapped his hands and took out a jade pendant. He was about to hand it over to Xiao Hua, but just as he handed it out halfway, he came to a realization. Damn it, you didn't seem to be hurt. Why would I give you this ancient cultivation technique? This heavenly law embodiment technique is an extremely powerful technique. I can't give it to you for free. Saying this, Zhang Qingshao looked at Xiao Hua's storage bag with a smile. Damn, when you see wealth, you throw away your brotherhood. Xiao Hua covered his storage bag and said, I've already given you the heaven mending pill, what else do you want? Chapter 22. Of course, it's the mother-child spirit fruit. Zhang Qingshao said, this thing is quite beneficial to me and my confidant. Take out as many as you have, the more the better. Okay. Xiao Hua reached out his hand and said, give me a storage pouch. Ah. Zhang Qingshao was stunned, then immediately became overjoyed and hurriedly gave a small storage pouch to Xiao Hua. Xiaohua pretended to take something from the storage pouch and took out more than half of the mother-child spirit fruits that he had accumulated in the past few decades. So many. Seeing so many mother-child spirit fruits in the storage pouch, Zhang Qingxiao's eyes already turned green. Alright, no need to say any more. Your father will be the vice sect master. Zhang Qingxiao handed the jade pendant to Xiaohua and said, with you as the vice sect master, I can nurture countless experts. TSK. Xiaohua waved his hand, I'm too lazy to go to that filthy place of yours. Besides, from your tone, the vice sect master position of Heavenly Demons sect is just for sale. Anyone can go, but I'm even more unwilling to go. Come if you want. Zhang Qingxiao happily put away the mother-child spirit fruits and rolled his eyes at Xiaohua. I don't know how many cultivators in Xiaoyu continent want to come. I don't care, Xiaohua flatly refused. Hehe, you don't have to be the vice sect master. However, when I ask you for the mother-child spirit fruits, you still have to take them out. Zhang Qingxiao said without any trace of politeness. Depends on the situation. Xiaohua shook his head, there aren't many mother-child spirit fruits left in that place, don't talk to me about this. Zhang Qingxiao said with a smile, if you can get so many, you can definitely get even more. Deal. Xiaohua also nodded, however, you have to help me do something. Hehe, you're starting to bargain with senior brother. Zhang Qingxiao nodded, say it. There aren't many things that I can't do on Xiaoyu continent. When Xiaohua took out a pile of rice seeds and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao, he explained the matter. Zhang Qingxiao was dumbfounded and asked incredulously, What? What? You actually want my Heavenly Demon sect disciple to do such a good thing? Are you sure? Of course I'm not mistaken. Xiaohua nodded and said, now that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in our Xiaoyu continent has changed greatly, the cultivator's cultivation is merely restricted, but the common people's lives are in danger. My ability is limited, so I have no choice but to rely on second senior martial brother's Heavenly Demon sect to do this. Great. Xiao Xianrui also nodded and advised, second senior brother, this is the best thing in the world. If you can participate, it will also be a good deed. I don't care about merit. I only want to avenge eldest senior brother and master. Zhang Qingxiao took the storage bags and said coldly, I was wondering why some people in the secular world of Meng Kingdom worship Jinren Shao. It turns out that it was you who did it. Don't worry, even if my Heavenly Demon sect does this, we will not use the name of the Heavenly Demon sect. We will still use your name. Motherfucker, wouldn't my Heavenly Demon sect become a laughingstock if other people knew about this? Xiaohua's heart warmed, knowing that his second senior martial brother still had some kindness. He cupped his hands and said, I thank second senior martial brother on behalf of the common people of the world. What qualifications do you have to represent the common people of the world? Zhang Qingxiao scolded, what's the use of doing this kind of good deed every day? You might as well spend your time on cultivation and searching for the murderer who killed my Heartwarming. Hehe, speaking of which. Xiaohua laughed again and said, I really do have some clues. Tell me quickly. Zhang Qingxiao said anxiously. Thus, Xiaohua briefly told her about the little white dragon and what he saw at the auction in Haoming City. Then, he concluded, didn't Zhang Jiantong say it before? My Heartwarming's guardian divine beast is probably the little white dragon. The three nascent soul cultivators just happened to face the Xianghua sect, Xunyan school, and Qiqiao sect. Their sect leaders are all nascent soul cultivators. Even if it wasn't them, I'm afraid they are related to the murderer. However, I don't know if the blood of the Xianghua sect's Qi Jianghai is the blood of the white dragon. I understand. Zhang Qingxiao nodded slowly. Things are gradually becoming clear. but it's not the time for the truth to come to light. Our cultivation is still too weak. When we reach the nascent soul realm, we will definitely find the murderer and kill him. Right, junior sister, speaking of which, I was a bit reckless just now. We can't use the name Heartwarming for the time being to avoid attracting the murderer's attention. Let's use the name of the 100 Herbs sect for the time being. Okay, I'll listen to second senior brother's instructions. Xiao Xianrui nodded. Nascent soul. Alas, it seems too long ago. Xiaohua thought of the battle between the Dao sect and the sword cultivators and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Although he improved rapidly, there was still a long way to go before he could kill a nascent soul cultivator. How about a nascent soul? Zhang Qingshao said coldly, as long as you cultivate diligently, I will provide you with everything you want, whether it's pills, cultivation methods, or spiritual herbs. I haven't seen you for decades, and you can cultivate to the Golden Core realm. With my support, how slow can you be? Not to mention the nascent soul realm, you can even reach the spirit severing stage. What can you give me? Xiao Hua smiled. You even want me to give you the mother-child spirit fruit? What do you want? Zhang Qingshao asked instead of answering. This. Xiao Hua scratched his head. He really didn't want anything for the time being, but at this moment, his eyes lit up and he said with a smile, Second senior brother, do you have the Demon Realms refining method? The Demon Realms refining method. Zhang Qingshao was also stunned. What do you want that for? Of course it's for this. Xiao Hua clapped his hand and took out the Qiao Yin Lu. He looked at Zhang Qingshao with a smile. Zhang Qingshao's gaze swept over it. How could she still sit still? With a big stride, she jumped from the chair on the left to the chair on the right where Xiao Hua was sitting and snatched the Qiao Yin Lu for a closer look. Second senior brother, is there a need to do this? Xiao Hua said with a smile. This is my treasure, I never promised to give it to you. Good, it really is the Qiao Yin Lu. Little junior brother, where did you get it? Zhang Qingshao looked again and asked, do you know the value of this thing? I heard Empress say that this is the weapon of Demon Monarch Scarlet Maple. What else is strange about it? Xiao Hua was slightly stunned. It's not just that. Zhang Qingshao looked as if she couldn't bear to part with it. This is a famous weapon from ancient times. Later, it flowed into the demon realm and was obtained by Demon Monarch Scarlet Maple. I won't say the specific process. In short, this thing is very important to me. You have to give it to me even if you don't want to. But then Zhang Qingshao said curiously, however, this thing seemed to have been shattered in the war between immortals and demons. It was broken into several pieces. How did it become a hole in your hands? Oh. No, it's not completely refined. It's just connected together with a rare blood fusion method. I understand. Zhang Qingshao looked at Xiao Hua in surprise. Don't tell me that you refined this thing. It's me. Xiao Hua nodded. However, I don't have the Demon Realms refining method, so I can't do it fully. If second senior brother has it, I can help you refine it. It's nothing much. Little junior brother, you're really good. Zhang Qingshao sighed with emotion. I thought I was incomparably powerful, but I didn't expect, compared to you, I'm really too far behind. No, the position of Heavenly Demon Sect's Vice Sect Master must be given to you. Go. Do you still want the ancient dragon Yinlu? Xiao Hua threatened. Yes. Zhang Qingshao answered without hesitation. Then, she searched her storage bag for a long time and took out 2 magic slips. One of them is the Demon Realms refining method, the other is the ancient dragon Yinlu's refining method. Can you read the magic slips? Yes. Xiaohua reached out to take it and kept the ancient dragon Yinlu. And you have the cultivation of a Buddhist sect. Naturally, you can read the magic slips. Zhang Qingxiao didn't find it strange. Oh right, also, where do you have the refining method of the 5 elements wishful heaven cudgel? Or a qi refinement technique that doesn't belong to the 5 elements? Or something with green seal script? Xiaohua asked one after another. No. Zhang Qingxiao's mind was hazy. She asked curiously, what are these things? I've never heard of them. I understand. Xiaohua waved his hand. He understood that although Zhang Qingxiao obtained the inheritance of a devil cultivator, she only knew about things from the demon realm. She probably didn't know much about green seal script or ancient things. After thinking for a while, Xiaohua took out a white bone and said, "It's this big white bone. If you see it, leave it for me." This thing. Good. I understand. Zhang Qingxiao nodded. Then, after thinking for a while, she took out a drop of blood and handed it to Xiaohua. This is a high-level cultivation method from the demon realm. It's called Blood Drop Paradise. You can refer to it. It should be useful for you to refine the ancient dragon Yinlu. Another cultivation method. Xiaohua smiled bitterly. He nodded and took it. I have too many cultivation methods here. You're really taking advantage of me. Zhang Qingxiao scolded, this is the cultivation method of Qi Feng Supreme. Who knows how many devil cultivators in the demon realm covet it? All right. Xiaohua said helplessly, it won't be too late to thank you when I succeed in this cultivation method. TSK, how can you succeed in cultivating it? You're not from the demon realm. Zhang Qingxiao snorted disdainfully, you just need to experience it and refine the ancient dragon Yinlu properly. Your brother's life is in your hands. Ah. Why is that? Xiaohua was shocked. He didn't expect the ancient dragon Yinlu to be so important to Zhang Qingxiao. Hehe, you don't need to know this. You just need to refine it properly. Zhang Qingxiao laughed again, I'm just lying to you. Seeing that Zhang Qingxiao didn't say anything, Xiaohua didn't ask anymore. However, he understood that Zhang Qingxiao wouldn't say anything senseless. Following that, the two of them talked for a while. Xiaohua was coaxed by Zhang Qingxiao to give him a lot of spirit herbs. However, although Xiaohua didn't care about Zhang Qingxiao's position as the vice sect leader, he still wanted the Azure Spirit Pills pill formula. As for the essence flower pill that condensed true essence, Xiaohua didn't expect that Zhang Qingxiao didn't have it. However, Xiao Xinrui did. The essence flower pills pill formula was the secret inheritance of the 100 Herbs Gate. Chang Fian from Weeping Moon City was right. That day, Chang Fian did mention the 100 Herbs Gate. However, Xiaohua only focused on the 10,000 Flower Valley and directly ignored the 100 Herbs Gate. Chapter 22-23. Of course, this secret technique was placed in Heartwarming's secret chamber. The three of them headed to Heartwarming's ancestral hole. Seeing Zhang Qingxiao take out an old yellow talisman and paste it on the ground, and seeing a flash of light, Xiaohua couldn't help but think of the first time he came here with Gong Mingwei. Xiaohua's figure disappeared along with the clear light, and tears once again welled up in his eyes. The originally hidden memories were always stirred up by the old matters and things that always existed, and the originally gradually ice-cold emotions were once again stirred up. Humans, even cultivators, were generally like this. Unfortunately, when Xiaohua saw the inheritance hall that had been tidied up by the 100 Herbs Gate, he was faintly disappointed. Yes, it was originally cold and cheerless, but that was his own, Heartwarming's. Now, the prosperity belonged to the 100 Herbs Gate, and it had nothing to do with Heartwarming. Not bad. Zhang Qingshao didn't think so, and with a sweep of his divine sense, he laughed. The 100 Herbs Gate is really generous, leaving a lot of things in my yellow flower ridge. Could it be that they moved everything here? More or less. Xiao Xianrui put down Jiang Luer, who was about to move, and brushed her hair. Her body was quite charming, and she laughed. My Heartwarming's restriction is very strange, much more powerful than the 100 Herbs Gates. When Jiang Jiantong repaired the array, he put all of the 100 Herbs Gates' inheritance here. Without Heartwarming's yellow talisman, I'm afraid only nascent soul cultivators can break in, right? Yes, that's right, that's why it's so convenient for us. Zhang Qingshao looked at Xiaohua and said, how about it, little junior brother, I won't let you do it for nothing. Take a look, if there's anything you want, just take it. TSK, Xiaohua snorted. I'm also Heartwarming's disciple, and these things are also mine. Why should I owe you a favor? Xiao Xianrui quite enjoyed listening to the two bicker, and she covered her mouth with a smile. She pointed to a place and said, little junior brother, go over there. These are the 100 Herbs Gates pill recipes and refining methods. If you need them, you can take them. Don't let him take them, just copy them. These are all for Jiang Luer. Zhang Qingshao immediately raised an objection. Xiaohua glared at him, am I that stupid? As he spoke, he was about to leave when he suddenly thought of something and asked Xiao Xianrui, senior sister, are all the herbs of the 100 Herbs Gate planted in Yellow Flower Ridge? Xiao Xianrui shook her head, no. Yellow Flower Ridge doesn't have abundant spirit qi, so it's not suitable for planting spirit herbs. Most of the spiritual herbs of 100 Herbs Gate are in Medicine Farmer Peak. Only some of the most important ones have been transplanted here. Oh. Xiaohua nodded, then turned to Zhang Qingshao and said, second senior brother, have your subordinates give me 10 stalks of each of the 100 Herbs Gate's medicinal herbs, as well as 10 of their seeds. How can I allow my subordinates to be ordered around by you? Zhang Qingshao said, but he did not stop. He walked out of the Heritage Hall and sent out the transmission talisman. What does little junior brother want the seeds for? Xiao Xianrui asked curiously. She then pointed to a spot and said, many of the seeds of the 100 Herbs Gate are also placed here. Take a look for yourself. Great. Xiaohua clapped his hands and laughed, little junior brother naturally has his uses. Then, Xiaohua copied the pill formulas of the 100 Herbs Gate. Unfortunately, the 100 Herbs Gate could only refine the green spirit pill of the late foundation establishment stage at most. They did not have a single pill formula for the golden core stage. The other pill formulas for the foundation establishment and qi refinement stages could also be counted on one hand. As for the seeds, there were quite a lot. Most of them had already been planted in Xiaohua's space. However, Xiaohua still took some of each. Zhang Qingshao looked at Xiaohua's actions and seemed to be deep in thought. However, Xiaohua did not care at all. His space was really hidden. Even a nascent soul stage cultivator would not be able to discover it. Zhang Qingshao could not possibly know the details. Moreover, with his space, Zhang Qingshao could also benefit from it. With Zhang Qingshao's intelligence, he would definitely not drain the pond to fish and burn the forest to hunt, blindly occupying it by force. Sure enough, after Xiaohua searched through everything in the Heritage Hall, took what he needed to take and copied what he needed to copy, Zhang Qingshao asked in a low voice, little junior brother, were you responsible for planting spirit herbs in the Imperial Thunder sect? That's right. Xiaohua nodded. Then, did you find a secret place in the Imperial Thunder sect when you were planting spirit herbs? Zhang Qingshao's eyes lit up as he asked anxiously. And, more or less. Xiaohua did not deny it. Ah, I knew it. Zhang Qingshao laughed loudly. If you didn't find any secret place in the Imperial Thunder sect, where did you get the mother-child spirit fruit? What do you want these spirit herb seedlings and seeds for? Zhang Qingshao did not expect that when Xiaohua took out the mother-child spirit fruit at the auction in Yenyuan City, he had not yet entered the Imperial Thunder sect. Seeing Xiaohua somewhat stunned, Zhang Qingshao laughed arrogantly and said, I found a secret place in the Weimeng mountain range where I planted the mother-child spirit fruit. However, that mother-child spirit fruit is only a few hundred years old. You can take out 1,000-year-old one all of a sudden. If it is not the Imperial Thunder sect's secret place, where else can it be? Oh. Chapter 22-24. How many vice sect leaders do you have? Xiaohua laughed. Xiao Xianrui also couldn't help laughing. You can have as many as you want, Zhang Qingshao said with a flick of his sleeve. I don't care. To be honest, there's no need to talk about your rice. It's definitely grown in that secret area. The spiritual herbs there must have adapted to the changes in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. If you can take it outside and plant it, I'm sure it'll be the same as the rice and save all the spiritual herbs in the entire Dawn Rain continent. Ah! Of course. Hearing this, Xiaohua suddenly realized that it was just as Zhang Qingshao said. Since the rice could adapt to the changes in heaven and earth spiritual qi, how could the spiritual herbs higher than the rice not adapt? Xiaohua was too concerned about the common people and forgot about the cultivators on Xiaoyu continent. Little junior brother, if you plant spiritual herbs in the secret land of Imperial Thunder sect, you must keep this cheap position. Zhang Qingshao reminded him, now that the heaven and earth spiritual qi has changed, all the sects are on guard. If your Imperial Thunder sect has this secret land, Shanghua sect and Xuanyan school must have the same place. This is the foundation of all the sects on Xiaoyu continent. Then Zhang Qingshao looked at Xiao Xianrui and said, if you don't believe me, then take out the spiritual herbs in the secret land and give them to junior sister. 100 Herbs sect grows spiritual herbs, so there won't be any mistakes. Yes, I understand. Xiaohua nodded. What's the difference between giving them to senior sister and giving them to you? 100 Herbs sect will be. No, it's absolutely different. Zhang Qingshao flatly denied. I said that I can help 100 Herbs sect recruit disciples in the early stage, but I must give them to junior sister in the future. And 100 Herbs sect will definitely change its name to Heartwarming's. Okay, Xiaohua nodded and reached out. Give me the storage bag. I really do have some spiritual herb sprouts. I took them out of the secret land and was waiting to give them to Thunder Palace. Now it's time to exchange them. Don't. Zhang Qingshao waved her hand and said, don't do it now. The two kinds of spiritual herbs will definitely have differences. If someone finds out, it will be bad. Xiaohua naturally knew that this so-called secret plane was nothing more than a myth. Whether or not the Imperial Thunder sect, Splendid sect, and the other sects really had it, he also didn't know. If the spiritual plants of the 100 Herbs sect couldn't be replaced, it wouldn't be long before they would wither. How could his poor senior martial sister support it? Moreover, once he went to Han country, he didn't know when he would return. If he didn't give it to him now, when would he? Second senior brother, don't worry. We just need to hand over the spiritual herbs to them. No one will check. Xiaohua said with a smile. Really? Zhang Qingshao was a little puzzled, but he nodded again. Since you said so, I won't be polite. As he spoke, he took out a storage pouch. Xiaohua took out a lot of spirit grass seedlings from his storage bag. He also took out 10 of them. As for the older ones, he also took out a few of them after giving the storage pouch to Zhang Qingxiao. Zhang Qingxiao unceremoniously handed him a blood-red messaging talisman and a jade slip. He said with a smile, "Junior Marshall brother is so convenient. You can take a look at the things inside. After you have them, you can use the messaging talisman to send them to me. I will personally go and get them." Alas, I knew there wouldn't be any easy work. Xiaohua took it with a smile. He didn't even look at it before putting it into the storage pouch. It was impossible for him to give the spiritual herbs to Zhang Qingxiao now. Seeing Xiaohua accept it without any trace of politeness, Zhang Qingxiao's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. His heart felt warm. After all, he was his junior martial brother. Although he couldn't be compared to Xiao Xianrui, who grew up together, he was still very affectionate. "There's something that I still need to ask." Although Xiaohua took the messaging talisman, after thinking for a while, he looked at Zhang Qingxiao with a smile and said, "Your heavenly demon sect is really dirty. Previously, many disciples offended me. I won't hide it from second senior martial brother. I didn't leave a single one alive. Of course, I didn't know that they were second senior martial brother subordinates at that time. I was a little ruthless, but now, with second senior martial brother here, it really makes things difficult for me." "Don't," Zhang Qingxiao waved his hand and said with a smile, "You are you, and I am me. You and I are Heartwarming's senior martial brother. But the Imperial Thunder Sect is the Imperial Thunder Sect, and the Heavenly Demon Sect is the Heavenly Demon Sect. There are Taoists and demons. This isn't something that can be replaced by our brotherhood. As long as the disciples of my Heavenly Demon Sect offend you, you can attack as much as you want. I won't say a word. In addition, if the disciples of your Imperial Thunder Sect offend me, I won't let them go." "Okay." Xiaohua's stone fell to the ground, but after thinking for a while, he clapped his hand, took out a jade slip, wrote something, and handed it to Zhang Qingxiao. "These are my good friends, and my current master and senior martial brother. They are really good to me. If you meet them, please show some mercy." "Got it." Zhang Qingxiao only cared about Xiaohua and Xiao Xianrui, and didn't care about others at all. Since Xiaohua said so, he casually looked at it and put it away. Then he looked away from Xiaohua and looked at the place where the statue of the deity used to be. He was a little disappointed. "Alas, the most important statue in my inheritance hall has been taken by the 100 Herbs Gate. I watched it grow up since I was young, and now it's gone. My heart is really empty." Xiao Xianrui's face was full of guilt when she heard this. She said carefully, "It's all my fault. When I first gave them the yellow talisman, the statue was still there. After that, I rarely came here. By the time little sister came here, that thing was already gone. I'm afraid Jiang Jiantong sent it to the Medicine Farmer Peak. Second senior martial brother, you can go to the Medicine Farmer Peak and see if there are any traces of the statue." "Okay." Zhang Qingxiao was about to turn around and send a message talisman when Xiaohua said with a smile, "No need." "Oh." Xiao Xianrui asked curiously, "What does junior martial brother mean?" The heavens really don't want to destroy me, Heartwarming." Xiaohua explained, "When I first escaped from Yellow Flower Ridge, I picked up the god statue on the way." With that, Xiaohua waved his hand and took out the god statue from the space. He said as if he was presenting a treasure, "Second senior martial brother, senior martial sister, look." Seeing the god statue flash in Xiaohua's hand, Xiao Xianrui and Zhang Qingxiao were happy. They knew that although they didn't know the origin of this thing, it was Heartwarming's inheritance. Who knew what secrets it held? If Heartwarming wanted to establish a sect, this thing must not be missing. However, Before Xiaohua could put the god statue on the ground, an unusual green light flew out of Xiaohua's storage bag. It was the jade rui that the 10,000 Demon Realm Empress had given to Xiaohua. The jade rui flew into the air and emitted a strange fluctuation from the handle. One by one, it shot onto the god statue. As the fluctuation reached the body, the god statue actually shook and made a buzzing sound. Then, a fluctuation flashed from the god statue, echoing the jade rui. This. Xiaohua and the others were stunned. Buzz 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 buzz, the rhythm of the sound was like a kind of music, but also like a kind of cry. It was quite like the cry of the sea beast Xiaohua heard on the Guihe Sea. After a short while, the jade rui emitted a green brilliance that enveloped the entire statue. The statue began to turn illusory, turning into particles, which then rushed into the jade rui at an extremely fast speed. Xiaohua seemed to have realized something when he saw the granular form. A faint lightning bolt flashed through his mind. What is this? Zhang Qingxiao was shocked and hurriedly reached out to grab it. However, when his hand touched the god statue, it was as if he was grabbing a handful of emptiness. The countless particles flowed out from the gaps of his hand and entered the jade rui. Xiaohua, what's going on? Seeing that Xiaohua was still stunned at this critical moment, Zhang Qingxiao scolded, quickly take out the god statue. At this moment, the jade rui's brilliance flashed again. It actually soared into the sky and flew out of the inheritance palace. However, it only flew a few feet before the brilliance stopped again. It circled a few times before flying back to Xiaohua's head and stopped moving. Xiaohua faintly grasped something, but it seemed like nothing. At this moment, he couldn't think about it in detail. He stretched out his hand and took down the jade rui. Xiaohua and the others' divine sense swept over, but the jade rui blocked their divine sense and couldn't penetrate it. AI. Second senior brother, do you still remember the empress you met in the Guihe Sea? Xiaohua sighed and asked. Zhang Qingxiao's expression changed slightly. She nodded and said, this thing is hers. What kind of empress is she? Xiaohua signaled to not blaspheme and explained, according to her, she is the empress of the 10,000 demon realm. Ah. 10,000 demon realm. Zhang Qingxiao's face was even more shocked. How can a demon from the 10,000 demon realm come to our Dawn Rain continent? It's really strange. What? Shouldn't she appear in the Dawn Rain continent? Xiaohua's expression changed even more. He was already certain that he was from the 10,000 demon realm. Now that he heard it, he couldn't help but be confused. Zhang Qingxiao told him about the spatial crack according to her memory and said, under normal circumstances, demons from the 10,000 demon realm can't use their true bodies to come to our Dawn Rain continent. They can only use their primordial spirit projection. When I saw the Empress that day, it didn't seem to be a primordial spirit projection. Oh, Xiaohua nodded. The Empress had also said this before. Thus, he smiled and said, according to the Empress, she came through a strange spatial crack. She shouldn't be in this category. Then what about this jade rui? Zhang Qingxiao pointed at the jade rui in Xiaohua's hand and asked. This matter involves the Empress's private affairs. I received her grace and was ordered by her to find a person. Xiaohua couldn't understand and said, this jade rui was given to me by her. As long as there is a trace of that person, this thing will automatically appear. I will send a message to the Empress. Zhang Qingxiao nodded, so, this god statue is related to the 10,000 demon realm. Or I, Heartwarming, am also related to the 10,000 demon realm. Instantly, Xiaohua thought of the words Qing Fengmin said when he was devouring his flesh at the 100-Jiang Peak. How do you have the demon realm's cultivation method? Chapter 22-25. So, Xiaohua nodded, that should be the case. I think, my cultivation method is related to the demon race. Zhang Qingshao naturally knew, but he couldn't say it out loud. Hearing Xiaohua's words, he also nodded. If it's as little junior brother said, then I'm definitely related to the person the 10,000 demon realm empress is looking for. Dark flower, Heartwarming. Xiaohua thought for a moment and smiled. If I'm not wrong, our Heartwarming was created by the person the 10,000 demon realm empress is looking for. This god statue, damn, that's not right. The empress is looking for a man, but this god statue is clearly a woman. Zhang Qingshao shrugged and smiled mysteriously. Little junior brother is wrong. A demon is a demon. In my Dawn Rain continent, it's just a bag of skin. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. Although it's a woman on the surface, it's actually a man. This. Xiaohua was silent. He couldn't believe that a man could turn into a delicate female cultivator. He shook his head. I don't think so. It's all up to the empress. If she says it's true, then it's true. But your message talisman, it hasn't been sent out. Zhang Qingshao reminded. He suffered in the hands of the empress and was somewhat afraid of her. He couldn't help but feel lucky. Xiaohua looked at the jade rui in his hand and was also puzzled. He said helplessly, this isn't something I can control. Anyway, I already know that Heartwarming is related to the person the empress is looking for. It's not my problem if the message talisman can't be sent out. Could it be that the empress encountered some danger? Was she killed? Or imprisoned? Zhang Qingshao guessed. Xiaohua thought for a moment. The empress's cultivation is higher than the spirit clone. There are too few cultivators in the Dawn Rain continent who can imprison her. Moreover, if she reveals her identity, with her identity as the 10,000 demon realm empress, which human cultivator would imprison her? Who knows? Zhang Qingshao shrugged. I'm still confused. Why would a demonic cultivator find me to be the target of possession? Or perhaps, the empress has already returned to the 10,000 demon realm. Xiaohua whispered with a trace of disappointment in his heart. Is it possible? Zhang Qingshao nodded. Or she has already found someone. He went back with her. What about this statue? Xiao Xianrui asked. It's all with little junior brother. Let him have it. The corner of Zhang Qingshao's mouth revealed a trace of a smile as she said, if we were to climb the thighs of the myriad demon realm's empress, I'm afraid that we would be able to do whatever we wanted in the Daybreak continent. And, senior apprentice sister, don't worry. This thing is in little brother's storage pouch. Others won't be able to take it away. Xiaohua consoled. In fact, Xiao Xianrui didn't have any special thoughts. She was just relieved to hear her senior and junior brothers comforting her. Actually, hearing her two relatives comforting her, Xiao Xianrui hesitated for a moment before saying, not only does my Heartwarming have some background, even 100 Herbs Gate has some history. Oh. What's the history of 100 Herbs Gate? Zhang Qingshao disdained. Can it be compared with my Heartwarming? Xiao Xianrui smiled bitterly, looked at them and said, I heard from Lu Er's father that their medicine farmer Peak and the medicine king tripod seem to be related to some legends. But he didn't say anything more about it. I don't know either. Oh, I see. If I had known earlier, I would have asked them first. Zhang Qingshao scratched her head, thought for a moment, and asked, by the way, where are Jiang Jiantong's storage pouch and the medicine king tripod? It doesn't seem like I took them. My subordinates. Hee, of course they're with little brother. Xiaohua smiled apologetically, but he didn't feel embarrassed at all. He clapped his hands and took out Jiang Jiantong's medicine king tripod. I killed him. How did it go to you? Zhang Qingshao curled her lips and said. You're the leader of the heavenly demon sect. How can you value these things? It's not as good as little brother taking them. Xiao Hua retorted. If I didn't mention it, you wouldn't have said it. Zhang Qingshao didn't let it go. Of course. Why should I say it? Xiao Hua said confidently, this guy has taken up so much of my time. It's only right for him to compensate me. Fine, fine. You're so polite. Zhang Qingshao said impatiently, what kind of background can the 100 Herbs sect have? I'm too lazy to look at it. Hee hee, since little brother has taken it, then just take it for the time being. Xiao Xianrui pursed her lips and smiled, now I, Heartwarming, have a lot of things to do, so I can't take these things to heart. Little brother, just take it as keeping it for Lu, Okay. Xiao Hua didn't stand on ceremony. He waved his hand and put it back into the space. However, he was the same as Zhang Qingshao. He didn't take it seriously at all. However, after a while, Zhang Qingshao frowned again and looked at Xiao Hua, saying, Xiao Hua, show me the Medicine King tripod. Yes. Xiao Hua was stunned. He obediently took out the Medicine King tripod and handed it to Zhang Qingshao. Zhang Qingshao took the Medicine King tripod, squinted her eyes and looked at it for a long time. She scratched her chin with her hand and returned the Medicine King tripod to Xiao Hua. She said thoughtfully, if little sister didn't mention the Medicine King peak, I really would have forgotten about it. In my memory, there is indeed a legend of the Medicine King peak, but it's not particularly detailed. Oh. Is there really such a thing? Xiao Hua said happily, second senior brother, tell me quickly. You look like a miser. Zhang Qingshao scolded, no wonder you can't be the deputy lord of my heavenly demon sect. Then she laughed and said, actually, I don't remember it very clearly. I only know that there is a story about the Medicine King peak. In the ancient times, when the celestial being declined, there was a powerful person who called himself a medicine farmer and lived in the Medicine King peak. He personally tasted tens of thousands of kinds of spiritual herbs that grew after the ancient times, thought about the medicinal properties of various spiritual herbs, and then formulated different prescriptions. These prescriptions are the embryonic form of the prescriptions that cultivators of the Xiaoyu continent take now. Oh my god. No way. Xiao Hua didn't expect this legend to be so long. What's the origin of this Medicine King tripod? How would I know? Zhang Qingshao rolled her eyes at him, I only know this legend, and I don't know anything else. TSK. Who wants to know? Xiao Hua also bared his teeth and said. Then Xiao Hua patted his storage bag again, took out a jade bottle and a bead, and handed them to Xiao Xianrui. I will break your magic tool. This is a water-based magic tool called the Aqua Blue Bead, which is used by Senior Sister. When I have a chance in the future, I will personally create a magic weapon for Senior Sister. TSK. It's just a Aqua Blue Bead. My heavenly demon sect has plenty of such things. Zhang Qingshao disdained, if you have the ability, you'd better get a water-based magic weapon first. Chapter 22-26. With a smile on her face, Xiao Xianrui stretched out her hand and took it. She did not mind that it was a magic weapon. Jiang Luer seemed to like the color of the aqua blue pearl very much. She stretched out her small hand and snatched it, happily playing with it. In the other jade bottle, there is a face-preserving pill. Senior Sister, if you take it, you can stay young forever. Oh. Face-preserving pill. Even if Xiao Xianrui already felt that she was not surprised by favor or disgrace, hearing this item, her heart jumped slightly. Her face showed surprise as she looked at Xiao Hua and said, "Thank you, junior brother." You're welcome, you're welcome." Xiao Hua quickly waved his hand and reached into his clothes again. Then, "Junior brother, can you give me one of the face-preserving pill?" Zhang Qingxiao, who had always been a robber, was actually a bit embarrassed, and even his tone was evasive. "Okay." Xiao Hua's reaction was very natural. Just as he was about to take it out, he suddenly felt that Zhang Qingxiao was not appropriate. He raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile that was not a smile, "Second brother, you're already charming the world, why do you still need this face-preserving pill? Damn it, are you going to give it or not?" Zhang Qingxiao said with a cold face. "Of course, it's for you." Xiao Hua took out a jade bottle and said with a smile, "However, you have to tell me, who should I give this to? Could it be?" Zhang Qingxiao's figure swayed, and an afterimage appeared in front of Xiao Hua. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua's hand did not move at all, but the jade bottle in his hand strangely disappeared. When the jade bottle disappeared, Zhang Qingxiao's hand also appeared in Xiao Hua's hand. Damn it, what kind of magical power is this? Grabbing empty air, Zhang Qingxiao was a little shocked. She looked at Xiao Hua's empty palm in disbelief. He did not sense any magical power fluctuations at all. "You don't need to know what magical power it is," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "If you don't tell me who this person is, I'm afraid that the face-preserving pill, cough cough." Xiao Xianrui saw that Zhang Qingxiao's face was a little embarrassed, and there was a ripple in her heart. She coughed twice and said, "Xiao Hua, don't make things difficult for your second brother, quickly give it to him." "Yes, senior sister." Xiao Hua's palm slightly grabbed, and the jade bottle appeared again, but this time there were two. "Oh. You really have a lot of face-preserving pills." Zhang Qingxiao casually took the jade bottle and put it in his storage bag. Then, his eyes lit up and he smiled. "Little junior brother, do you want to cooperate with me?" "No need." Xiao Hua knew what Zhang Qingxiao was thinking. He shook his head and said, "This matter has already been discussed with a good friend in the sect." "What a pity." Zhang Qingxiao sighed. A lot of spirit stones fell into other people's storage bags. Xiao Hua unhappily rolled his eyes at him. Once again, he reached into his clothes and took out the peacock fantasy. When they saw the peacock illusion, a trace of joy appeared on both Zhang Qingxiao and Xiao Xianrui's faces, but that joy quickly disappeared and was replaced by melancholy. It was a kind of melancholy of youth that would never return. Even Xiao Hua couldn't help but think back to when the three of them, no, the four of them, saw the peacock illusion in front of Xiao Hongyue. "This thing has already been given to little junior brother. Don't take it out again," Xiao Xianrui said sadly. She really didn't want to be sad anymore. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly and held the peacock fantasy. "Senior sister, this thing is not an ordinary thing. This is the auspicious jade talisman. To be exact, it's the Phoenix Jade Talisman." "Ah. There really is such a thing in the world." Even Zhang Qingxiao, who had received the inheritance, was shocked. He opened his eyes and carefully looked at it. Unfortunately, after looking at it for a long time, he still couldn't figure it out. Not to mention Xiao Xianrui. When Xiao Xianrui heard Zhang Qingxiao's explanation, she suddenly understood. But what replaced it was a kind of sadness. Yes, back then, Heartwarming Xiao Hongyue began to punish Xiao Xianrui and others for this thing. It was also this peacock fantasy that led to Jiang Fan's appearance. This thing could almost be said to be the beginning of Heartwarming's tragedy. This thing is very precious. Little junior brother has worn it for so many years. This thing was bought by senior sister with spirit stones. I must return it to senior sister. Xiao Hua handed the peacock fantasy to Xiao Xianrui. Xiao Xianrui looked at the peacock fantasy in a daze. She didn't have the slightest intention to take it. Zhang Qingxiao naturally understood Xiao Xianrui's thoughts and scolded in a low voice. Xiao Hua, this thing is always with you. How can you give it to junior sister? You're a bit rash. Xiao Hua was extremely embarrassed. He scratched his head, looked at Jiang Luer and said with a smile. Then give it to Luer. Let him have a smooth journey and turn misfortune into blessing. Good. Zhang Qingxiao also nodded. However, when Xiao Hua handed the peacock fantasy to Jiang Luer actually slapped the peacock fantasy away. Even when Xiao Xianrui picked up the peacock fantasy and put it around his neck, he didn't want it and only looked at the aqua pearl in his hand. Forget it, I'll give it to Luer when he grows up. Xiao Hua laughed. No. Xiao Xianrui shook her head firmly. She handed the peacock fantasy back to Xiao Hua and said, Luer is very stubborn. What he likes and what he doesn't like is not easy to change. Since he doesn't like this thing, he has no fate with it. This peacock fantasy. Xiao Hua, you should take it. This. Xiao Hua was hesitant. Jiang Luer was only a 3-year-old child. Where did his stubbornness come from? It was probably Xiao Xianrui's not in her heart. And, junior brother, since this thing was given to you by junior sister a few decades ago, it's yours. No matter how precious it is, it's not as precious as your safety. It can protect your safety and let junior sister feel at ease in the future. You should take it with you. Zhang Qingxiao also didn't like this thing, so she advised. Fine. Xiao Hua was helpless. He still tied the peacock fantasy around his neck and wore it close to his body. What is that? Zhang Qingxiao's eyes were sharp. She immediately saw the witch puppet that had lost its effect. Xiao Hua didn't hide anything and took out the witch puppet. He smiled and said, it's a witch puppet from Meng Mountain. What's a witch puppet? Zhang Qingxiao obviously didn't know. When Xiao Hua finished speaking, Zhang Qingxiao sighed with emotion. No, Xiao Hua, you must be my heavenly demon sect's deputy sect leader. If you don't come, I won't agree. Xiao Hua just smiled and didn't say anything. Then, the three of them discussed for a long time in the inheritance hall. They temporarily confirmed the embryonic development of Hundred Grass Sect, which was Heartwarming's predecessor. Then, Xiao Hua and Zhang Qingxiao waited for the disciples of Heavenly Demons Sect who went to kill Hundred Grass Sect at Yaonong Peak to return. Xiao Xianrui and Jiang Luer naturally had their own residence. Xiao Hua also came to Shihua Peak. At this time, Shihua Peak's herb garden had expanded many times compared to before. Seeing that the herb garden was full of spiritual herbs, Xiao Hua couldn't help but sigh slightly. After looking around the entire herb garden, Xiao Hua sat at the place where he had rested earlier and silently sent his primordial spirit into the space. It seemed that it was here that he discovered the secret of the space behind his head. The space back then was so dark and narrow. What about now? The space was steadily expanding, and now it was more than 200 miles wide. Not only were there all kinds of spiritual herbs luxuriant and green, but there was also a boundless field of mortal rice. Alas, people are things, but this is it. Xiao Hua sighed slightly, then raised his eyebrows and said, Second senior brother, what do you want? Zhang Qingxiao's figure slowly appeared in the air not far away and said with a frown, as expected, I can't hide my tracks from you. Zhang Qingxiao actually chased him to Shihua Peak's herb garden. He probably had some things to hide from Xiao Xianrui. At this time, Zhang Qingxiao's appearance was still the same as before. She didn't recover her coquettish and handsome appearance. What? Second senior brother's movement technique is very secretive. Xiaohua smiled with interest. Little brother has an invisibility talisman, but once I use my spiritual power, I will be exposed. TSK, how can a small invisibility talisman compare to my demon sex magical power? Zhang Qingxiao said disdainfully. Xiaohua's eyes turned, then he stretched out his hand and asked, could it be that second senior brother wants to teach this magical power to me? Zhang Qingxiao rolled her eyes at him and said without paying attention to him, don't you think you are too greedy? No, Xiaohua touched his nose with his finger with an innocent face, there is no limit to this cultivation method, only more. Little brother just wants to help you see if there are any flaws in this magical power. Little brother actually always finds them. Quibble. Zhang Qingxiao wasn't stingy and gave a magic slip to him, I want to see how you cultivate. But when Xiaohua released his Buddhist awareness to check, Zhang Qingxiao came to a realization and said, enough. There is no need to look, I already understand. Your Buddhist cultivation seems to have reached a small success. Buddhism and demon cultivators are natural nemesis. They are very sensitive to each other. It is not strange for you to find my tracks. Immediately, Zhang Qingxiao frowned again and said, what I find strange is. Where did you get the Buddhist cultivation method? How is it possible for you to cultivate Buddhism so deeply at the same time when your Tao cultivation is so advanced? Seeing that Zhang Qingxiao already understood, Xiaohua also put away the magic slip without any intention of returning it to Zhang Qingxiao. Second senior brother, can you tell me what kind of disciples your heavenly demon sect has? Xiaohua said with a smile, or, can you teach me this face-changing method? You are not my heavenly demon sect's deputy sect leader, why should I tell you about my heavenly demon sect's matters? I am afraid that even if I become the deputy sect leader, second senior brother may not tell me. You are right. Zhang Qingxiao didn't hide anything and nodded, heavenly demon sect's disciples are extremely diverse, I can't be more careful. There are many things that I have to master myself. Others, even if it is little junior brother, I don't dare to believe. Little brother is the same. Xiaohua replied without any trace of politeness. As for this face-changing technique, my heavenly demon sect does have it. However, without the cultivation of a demon general equivalent to nascent soul and above, I am afraid that it can't be practiced successfully. Moreover, my demon realm's cultivation methods are mostly body refinement. Face-changing cultivation methods are not very useful and even conflict with one's own cultivation method. Generally, no one would practice it. I am borrowing the power of your mother and child spirit fruit to restore my face to the way it was before I used it. Chapter 22-27. So it's like that. Xiaohua nodded and didn't ask any more. He smiled with interest, second senior brother wouldn't come to ask me about Buddhism sex cultivation technique, right? Don't overestimate Buddhism sex cultivation technique. Zhang Qingxiao looked around and casually found a place to sit down cross-legged, facing Xiaohua. He said, just now, elder brother has already said that Buddhist sect and devil cultivators are mutually exclusive. Buddhist sect may have some advantages, but in the end, it will depend on whose cultivation is higher. If Buddhism sect is powerful, why was it exterminated by Tao sect? Hearing this, Xiaohua thought and smiled, then second senior brother, do you know why Buddhism sect was exterminated? What's inside Buddhism sect's ruins? Zhang Qingxiao shook his head and said, I don't care about these things, so I don't know. Buddhism sect has been exterminated for a long time, and a lot of evidence has disappeared. I'm afraid that only ancient sects have some records of the reason. Right, I'm warning you. Buddhism sect's ruins, it's best not to go. If you fall into the eyes of some people, they will discover your Buddhism sect cultivation, and your life will be difficult to protect. At that time, the entire Tao sect of Dawn Rain Continent will kill you. Even if I expand Heavenly Devil's sect 10 times, I still won't be able to save you. Xiaohua nodded and smiled. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Zhang Qingxiao nodded and stared at Xiaohua for a while, causing Xiaohua to feel a little scared. Actually, I came here to ask you a question. Zhang Qingxiao looked at Xiaohua's eyes again and said word by word, have you really not recovered your memory? Really not. Xiaohua stared at Zhang Qingxiao and said word by word without holding back. I'm actually very curious about you. Zhang Qingxiao said with a serious face, when you were with me, Heartwarming, your cultivation was slow, and you couldn't even advance to the 3rd level of qi refinement. But now, it's only been a few decades, and you actually have the strength of an early gold core. And even the early foundation establishment realm that you showed is absolutely out of the ordinary cultivation speed. One had to know that junior sister was only at the early stage of foundation establishment. She was at the 10th level of qi refinement back then. Not to mention, you actually have a flying sword and Buddhism sex cultivation method. What about you? Xiaohua also asked. Aren't you also at the gold core stage now? You think you can compete with me? When Zhang Qingxiao saw that Xiaohua was always trying to change the topic and always trying to curry favor with her, she couldn't help but get angry. Your father, coincidentally obtained a devil cultivation method, and was also abandoned by the heavens. What's more, I got the Lingji treasure in Lingpei Mountain Villa. I was at the late stage of the gold core realm in my previous life. What's so strange about me reaching the gold core realm now? What about you? Did you also have such an opportunity? Lingpei Mountain Villa's condensed knowledge treasure is actually real. Xiaohua was surprised. Is there really such a divine item as the condensed knowledge treasure in this world? Don't change the topic. Zhang Qingxiao said coldly, I avoided junior sister today to ask for details. You, who the hell are you? Xiaohua wasn't afraid at all. He sneered and replied word by word, then this young master will also tell you that this young master still doesn't know who I am or where I came from. Then why is your cultivation advancing so fast? Zhang Qingxiao asked again, could it be that you also have the condensed knowledge treasure? This young master doesn't have such a good past life. Xiaohua shook his head and said, this young master's cultivation was painstakingly cultivated by myself. Do you think I, your father, will believe that? Zhang Qingxiao laughed sinisterly. Do you still remember what I said when I found out that you actually knew how to refine pills? Of course I remember. Xiaohua said without hesitation, this Heartwarming and Yellow Flower Ridge are the places where you grew up. Master, senior brother and senior sister are also the people closest to you in this world. You will definitely not let them hurt you. No matter who, as long as they dare to hurt them, even if you go to the 9th heaven, the 9th underworld, even if you fall into the devil's path or the ghost's path, you will never forgive them. Did this young master say anything wrong? That's right, you remember it very clearly. Zhang Qingxiao replied, now that I have fallen into the devil's path, I have to find the murderer who killed master and senior brother. You are so mysterious, this young master always feels uneasy. If I don't figure out your background, this young master. Xiaohua laughed exceptionally brilliantly and cupped his hands, saying, Sect Master Zhang, if you can figure out my background, this young master will burn yellow paper and cut off a chicken's head to swear an oath of brotherhood with you. Bah! A strange expression appeared on Zhang Qingxiao's face. Then, he stretched out his hand, and a drop of black blood flowed out from his middle finger. That black blood was very strange, as if it had a life of its own. It bubbled in the air, and every time it boiled, a ghost's face would appear from the black blood. Xiaohua, this is the famous black blood curse of the devil realm. Do you dare to swear an oath with me? Swear that I won't hurt Heartwarming. That I won't have disloyalty towards you and senior sister? Xiaohua said disdainfully. Why wouldn't this young master dare? Good, Zhang Qingxiao clapped and said, you don't have to have any disloyalty towards me, as long as you don't have any disloyalty towards senior sister. As long as you don't have any disloyalty towards me, Heartwarming. With that, Zhang Qingxiao was about to cast another spell. Wait, Xiaohua stopped him and said, this young master dares. But this young master disdains to swear a blood oath like yours from the devil realm. If this young master wants to swear an oath, it will be a blood oath from the Dao sect. Zhang Qingxiao's eyes flickered as he looked at Xiaohua's calm expression thoughtfully. Then, he said softly, swear an oath in front of me. Good, Xiaohua didn't hesitate and swore an oath. However, just as Zhang Qingxiao said, this oath didn't include Zhang Qingxiao. Fine. Zhang Qingxiao opened his mouth, and the infinitely changing black blood entered his mouth. He sighed and said, don't blame senior brother for making things difficult for you again and again. It's just that Heartwarming is where I grew up. I must ensure the safety of this place. And this young master understands. Xiaohua nodded. Although I didn't grow up, I was still picked up by master. My feelings for Heartwarming may not be as shallow as second senior brothers. Like second senior brother, I will do my best to support Heartwarming and pass on master's legacy. Yes. Zhang Qingxiao looked up at the herb garden not far away and said, this herb garden is really pitiful in my hands. In junior brother's hands, it's flourishing, but now it's even more expanded. As time passes, we are no longer in the same place. While our cultivation increases, each of us has more secrets. Although these secrets won't be completely revealed to each other. I hope that there won't be any estrangement because of this, and we won't endanger each other's trust. Are you kidding me? Second senior brother, this should be what I ask you. Xiaohua smiled bitterly. Hasn't second senior brother been forcing me all this time? Who told you to have too many secrets? If I don't suspect you, who do I suspect? Could it be that I suspect Jiang Luer? Zhang Qingxiao rolled his eyes at him. Second senior brother left and right has hurt my heart. You have to compensate me. Xiaohua said with a grin. Zhang Qingxiao immediately covered his storage bag and said, what are you planning? I need cultivation methods of the 5 elements, preferably complete foundation establishment, golden core, and nascent soul. Without waiting for Xiaohua to finish speaking, Zhang Qingxiao got up and said, I didn't hear anything, just take it that I didn't come today. Damn it, you're a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect, what cultivation methods don't you have? Yet you come to my heavenly demon sect to take advantage of me. What nascent soul cultivation method? Why don't you have a spirit severing cultivation method? Don't. Xiaohua's face was bashful as he hurriedly pulled Zhang Qingxiao's Daoist robe and said with a smile, actually, I didn't think too much just now. Who told you not to trust me so much? Since you did it, you should compensate me. If you don't have nascent soul cultivation methods, give me foundation establishment and golden core cultivation methods. I'm really scared of you. Zhang Qingxiao slapped his storage bag and threw out a few jade slips and said, at most, I have golden core cultivation methods, nascent soul cultivation methods. In the future, let's see if there's a chance. With that, Zhang Qingxiao covered his face and left. This time, not only did he not find Xiaohua's origin, but he also broke a few cultivation methods. Xiaohua stayed in Yellow Flower Ridge for a few more days, looking at every corner of Yellow Flower Ridge. However, every time he went to a place, Xiaohua would think of someone, but he didn't feel refreshed. Therefore, when the heavenly demon sect disciples brought the spirit herbs and seeds of 100 Herbs Gate, and even the jade slips, Xiaohua bid farewell to Xiao Xianrui and Zhang Qingxiao. Yellow Flower Ridge had Zhang Qingxiao, so Xiaohua couldn't do much. The new 100 Herbs Gate needed Zhang Qingxiao's support, so Xiaohua was useless. Since that night, after forcing Xiaohua to reveal his origin, Zhang Qingxiao didn't look for Xiaohua alone again, as if he was completely relieved. Even when Xiaohua said goodbye, Zhang Qingxiao didn't ask a word. In fact, it was just like what they said that day: everyone has their own opportunities, as long as their feelings for Heartwarming didn't change. Xiao Xianrui's injuries had been completely healed in the past few days. Although her cultivation hadn't fully recovered, there were all kinds of spirit pills given by Xiaohua in her storage bag, and with Zhang Qingxiao's care, her cultivation would probably advance rapidly in the future. Xiao Xianrui knew that Xiaohua was a disciple of the Imperial Thunder sect at this time, so he had no choice but to leave. She didn't ask any more questions, and only gave a few reminders, reluctantly watching Xiaohua fly away. As for Jiang Luer, she had become very familiar with Zhang Qingxiao these days, and treated Xiaohua as nothing. Alas, with the appearance of second senior brother, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. But after leaving Yellow Flower Ridge, Xiaohua seemed to have unloaded a heavy burden. However, now that he thought about it, he felt that the burden was much heavier. Previously, he had always regarded the destruction of 100 Herbs Gate as his goal of revenge, but now that 100 Herbs Gate was destroyed and Yellow Flower Ridge returned to Heartwarming's hands, Xiaohua's previous goal was achieved. However, after knowing the truth of Heartwarming's destruction, Xiaohua couldn't relax. After all, the enemy was a nascent soul cultivator. It was even possible that he was a nascent soul cultivator from the 3 major sects of the state of Xi. How could Xiaohua relax? Forget it, even if the sky falls, there are still tall people to hold it up. With second senior brother as the sect leader of the Heavenly Devil sect, I can only slack off. Xiaohua smiled for no reason. Although Zhang Qingxiao forced him to do so, he didn't have any resentment in his heart. After all, he really couldn't explain his origin and cultivation. It would be strange if she didn't suspect him. Chapter 22-28. It seems that I have to hurry up and cultivate so that I can conceive a nascent soul as soon as possible. Xiaohua threw the various techniques he plundered from Zhang Qingxiao into the space and handed them to the primordial spirit that was comprehending the jade slip. Only in this way can I help second senior brother when he finds the culprit. 3 nascent soul cultivators. Without late-stage nascent soul, or even spirit severing stage, don't even think about it. Rumble. A faint sound of thunder came from Xiaohua's body as he used the Imperial Thunder travel technique. However, his direction was not the Imperial Thunder sect, but the Tianmen Mountain. Of course, Xiaohua was not going to the Tianmen Mountain. Dozens of days later, in a place full of flowers, Xiaohua's figure flashed mysteriously as if he was born from the void. Although his figure was a little shaky and lacked some elegance compared to Zhang Qingxiao, his proficiency in using the technique was not inferior to Zhang Qingxiao's. Strange. The Demon Realm's concealing technique, how can I use it so easily? According to what second senior brother said, I shouldn't be able to learn this technique. Xiaohua's face showed a trace of astonishment as he whispered, I'm not a demon. Forget it. Isn't it good to be able to use it? Xiaohua was very envious of Zhang Qingxiao's concealing technique. In a moment of curiosity, He used his Buddhist sense to look at it and used it according to the technique. How could he not be surprised that he could succeed within dozens of days? Immediately, Xiaohua raised his eyes and looked at the flowers under his feet. His eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. Buried Flower Manor, Manor Lord Qin Yi, I'm coming. Even if I can't kill that person, I'll destroy your buried flower manor. Ha! How come it's gone? Could it be that I'm lost again? Xiaohua released his divine sense and looked at the range of dozens of miles. As a result, the confusion in his eyes increased. That's right, this was the place where he came to find Xie Zhiqian last time. It was also the location of Buried Flower Manor. The flowers didn't change and the scenery didn't change. It was just that the formation was gone and Buried Flower Manor was gone. Xiaohua thought for a moment and formed a technique with his hands. When the technique landed on the ground, there was no reaction. There was no magic power fluctuation that Xiaohua expected. Clearly, there was no concealment array at all. After that, Xiaohua, who refused to give up, not only used his Buddhist awareness to search again, he even used his Dharma eyes, but he didn't see any clues. Could it be that the flower burial manor can be moved? Xiaohua's heart suddenly moved as he thought of a possibility. If that's the case, then it'll be difficult. Where can this young master go to find Qin Yi? Forget it, let's not waste any more time. There's still some time before the half-year deadline. Let's hurry up and get down to business. After he finished thinking, Xiaohua formed seals with his hand and once again urged his magic power to fly, and he swiftly flew away amidst a wave of faint sounds of wind and thunder. In the blink of an eye, his figure disappeared into the horizon. Half a year later, on the Sky Thunder Peak of the Imperial Thunder Sect, dozens of lightning boats of all kinds were hovering in the air. They were like dark clouds that covered the sky. On the Sky Thunder Peak below the lightning boats, several thousand people were roughly divided into 8 areas and scattered on the peak of the Sky Thunder Peak. Every cultivator's face was slightly excited, and there were also traces of uneasiness. Beside them, there were more or less masters who were sending them off. Different from the previous experiential training, all the cultivators here wore the same style of Taoist robes. These Taoist robes were navy blue, and within the blue, there was a hint of scarlet red, which was actually somewhat similar to the color of heavenly lightning. On the sleeves of every cultivator, there was a lightning symbol. It should be the symbol of the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples. In a place near the edge of the Sky Thunder Peak, several hundred disciples of the Thunderous Palace were similarly dressed. They each checked their storage pouches, and the voices of men and women were incessant. Which one is helplessness? At this moment, a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator flew over. It was Senior Brother Qian, who Xiaohua met half a year ago when he flew out of the Sky Thunder Peak. Disciple is here. In an inconspicuous corner, helplessness flew into the air and respectfully saluted. Senior Brother Qian sized him up with a glance, clapped his hand, and took out a token. He asked, "Is this your keepsake?" Helplessness glanced over and nodded, "Correct, it is indeed disciple's keepsake." "That disciple of yours named Xiaohua still hasn't returned, right?" "That's right." Helplessness's expression was very calm. "Good." Senior Brother Qian nodded, "Since he hasn't returned, I presume you also know that when the time is up, my Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples will activate the Thunderbolt and take your life." Disciple understands. Helplessness still nodded. "Humph. I don't even know what you're thinking. Aren't you courting death?" Senior Brother Qian coldly looked at Helplessness and turned to leave. Another voice said, Senior Brother Qian Jing, what are you doing here instead of guarding the mountain gate?" Junior Brother Qian Diheng. Qian Jing was also slightly startled. He raised his head and a trace of astonishment flashed through his eyes. What are you doing here instead of staying at the Heavenly Thunder Palace and seeing off the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Palace? Little brother is here to see off a good friend. Qian Di Heng's divine sense swept over, but he was slightly startled. He didn't see Xiao Hua's figure. Martial Uncle Helplessness, where's Xiao Hua? Qian Di Heng still called him Martial Uncle Helplessness because of Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua went out half a year ago. Helplessness said indifferently, he hasn't returned yet. You know Xiao Hua. Qian Jing glanced at Qian Di Heng and said, you're here to see him off. That's right. Where did this guy run off to? He's about to leave, why hasn't he returned yet? Qian Di Heng curled his lips and said, this guy won't run away at the last moment, right? And, let's see what kind of friend you've made. Qian Jing said, he's the first one to go out with a master's token. He hasn't returned yet, so he must have run away. Senior brother Qian. Spiritual herbs can be eaten carelessly, but words can't be said carelessly. Qian Di Heng was unhappy and said coldly, Xiao Hua is little brother's good brother. How could little brother not know his character? Do I need you to chirp here? Looking at Qian Di Heng's appearance, if Qian Jing wasn't a disciple of Qian Di Heng's palace and also his senior brother, he might have already used Laozi instead of little brother. Qian Jing's face was embarrassed, and his face turned red. He could only mutter, if he could return, he would have returned long ago. Now that he hasn't returned, do you still need to say anything? Can you speak a bit louder? Qian Di Heng was even more unhappy and said coldly. Forget it, I still have to go to the mountain gate to guard. Qian Jing responded and said to Helplessness, Junior brother Helplessness, when the thunderbolt leaves, don't blame me for being merciless. Saying that, Qian Jing turned around to fly away. Don't worry, little brother will also go with you. Qian Di Heng saw that Xiao Hua wasn't here, so he was disinclined to stay. He soared up and said, little brother will go to the mountain gate to welcome Xiao Hua. Looking at the two people flying away, Helplessness's figure landed and saw Cui Hongshan's anger, Master. You, what do you want disciple to say to you? You see for yourself, what disciple said that day, isn't it all coming true now? You are the one who is caught in the trap, you don't have us as an outsider who can see it clearly. Xiao Hua, that bastard, has clearly escaped. In another hour, the thunderbolt will depart, where is Xiao Hua's figure? Chapter 22-29. Junior brother Cui, isn't it not time yet? Perhaps junior brother Xiao was delayed by some matters. Although Xiang Yang's face was filled with anxiety and his eyes were looking at the sky from time to time, he still spoke for Xiao Hua. Humph, you were all fooled by Xiao Hua. Cui Hongshan said angrily, what does a loose cultivator know about benevolence, righteousness, and morality? Master's life is. Ha! Master, look, isn't that Xiao Hua? Yan Qinglian's eyes were sharp. She held Xiang Zhili's hand and shouted. Ha ha ha, it really is foster father. Foster father, foster father. Xiang Zhili also jumped up in joy. If not for Yan Qinglian holding him, he would have already rushed out. Sure enough, in the sky, Xiao Hua was whispering something to Qian Diheng as he slowly flew over. When he was about to reach them, Qian Diheng clapped his hand and took out a storage pouch and handed it to Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua also took out another storage pouch and handed it to Qian Diheng. Qian Diheng didn't say anything else. He cupped his hands and turned around to fly away. When Xiao Hua landed, Xiang Zhili quickly went forward and bowed, greetings, foster father. Xiao Hua smiled and helped Xiang Zhili up. Foster father left in a hurry and came back too late. I'm afraid I can't fulfill my promise to you now. Come closer. Yes. Xiang Zhili's face was filled with surprise. Xiaohua didn't say anything else. He set up a silent restriction and briefly explained the part of the dragon transformation art to Xiang Zhili. Finally, he said with a smile, this art can't be passed on to others. Your father and mother can't be told either. Yes, boy understands. Xiang Zhili nodded and hurriedly closed his eyes, carefully remembering what Xiaohua said just now. Master. Xiaohua removed the restriction at this time. He clapped his hand and took out the token. He helplessly said, disciple was delayed by some matters. Please forgive me. Xiang Zhili nodded helplessly and took the token. His face was still indifferent as he said, it's fine as long as you're back. Xiang Yang, bring the reward from the Thunder Palace and let him quickly change into a Taoist robe. The thunderboat is about to leave. Yes. Xiang Yang took out a storage bag and handed it over to Xiaohua. Junior brother Xiao, this is the reward for this expedition. There are pills and spirit stones inside, as well as a magic tool. Yes. Xiaohua took the storage bag, took out the magic tool and handed it to Xiang Yang. Give this thing to Li. I don't need it. Then, he looked around and took out a new Taoist robe from his storage pouch to change into. He whispered to Xiang Yang, I've taught Li something. It's not too profound. Let him figure it out himself. It'll be beneficial for him in the future. Okay. Xiang Yang glanced at Xiang Zhili, who was seriously memorizing the manual, and nodded in agreement. Xiaohua. Zhuo Minghui stepped forward and said, before you came back, your master had already told Hongshan that he would take care of you. You don't have to get angry again. She had to listen to him. After all, you are fellow disciples of the same sect. He won't harm you. Xiaohua glanced at Cui Hongshan. Although Cui Hongshan's eyes softened, there was still some disdain. Normally, Xiaohua would have already refuted, but seeing Zhuo Minghui's eager gaze, Xiaohua could only nod and say, disciple understands. Zhuo Minghui turned to Cui Hongshan and said, Hongshan, your master has already said it. Master's wife will repeat it again. You must protect your junior brother's life with all your strength. Remember. Disciple understands. Cui Hongshan respectfully agreed. Xiang Yang was different. He pulled Xiaohua's hand and said, Junior brother Xiao, you also heard master's wife's words. This is also what I want to tell you. Your cultivation is outstanding, far surpassing mine. You are also smart and alert. Junior brother Cui's life is in your hands. You must protect him. Remember. We'll talk about it later. Xiaohua did not agree like Cui Hongshan, everything depends on that guy's luck. Woo, a loud and clear sound of a bugle horn rang out, shaking the entire sky thunder peak. Then, dozens of thunderbolts began to emit faint lightning. Disciples, take your positions. An old voice sounded, causing everyone's heart to tremble. All right, master's wife, eldest senior brother and senior sister, don't worry. With disciple here, I will definitely bring junior brother Xiao back safely. Cui Hongshan looked at the surrounding shocking Thunder Palace disciples flying to the thunderboats above his head and also cupped his hands and said, Hongshan, everything depends on you. Watch Xiaohua, he is too willful. Finally, a trace of worry appeared on his helpless face. However, he immediately forced a smile and said, after you leave, Master will also go into seclusion. I hope that when Master steps into Gold Core, I will be able to see your figures. Oh. Master, you are going to take that thing. Xiaohua reminded, before taking it, you have to ask eldest senior brother. I know. Helplessly sneered, you just have to look after yourself. Yes. Xiaohua nodded, cupped his hands towards everyone, and flew to the thunderboat before Cui Hongshan. Alas! This child. Seeing this, how could Zhuo Minghui be at ease? Master's wife, disciple is leaving. Cui Hongshan said a few more words before flying to the thunderboat. Crackled bursts of lightning flashed, and dozens of thunderbolts flew out of the sky, thunder peak one after another, rushing into the sky. Alas! Grape wine in a luminous cup, if you want to drink, the people will urge you to drink, if you lie drunk on the battlefield, don't laugh. Since ancient times, how many people have returned from battle? Helplessly and inexplicably, he said a few words, and then sadly said, this time. I don't know how many of my shocking Thunder Sect disciples will return. Let's go. Looking up at the sky, there were many cultivators who felt sad in their hearts, but gradually, they dispersed, and the sky thunder peak regained its tranquility. After all, people had to walk, and the path of cultivation still existed. When Xiaohua flew to the thunderboat, he saw everyone standing on the side of the boat and waving goodbye to their masters. He casually found a place to sit cross-legged, and thought about the events of the past 6 months. After leaving the Yellow Flower Ridge, Xiaohua couldn't find the Burial Flower Manor, so he went to the secret land of the Black Cloud Forest. The rice in his space was watered by the water of the Yinyang Pond in the secret land. If he wanted to cultivate spiritual herbs that could adapt to the changes in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, maybe the pond water was the key. But contrary to Xiaohua's expectations, the innate restriction in the secret plane didn't open at a fixed time. He was trapped inside for a few months before he was able to escape. If it wasn't for his lightning speed, he might not have been able to rush back to the Imperial Thunder Sect within half a year. However, during the several months of being trapped in the secret land, Xiaohua didn't lack in taking the pond water from the deep pond. Now, there was a huge lake in his space, and all the water was taken from the deep pond. And the water in the deep pond seemed to be endless. As long as Xiaohua took all the water from the deep pond, there would immediately be extremely cold and extremely hot spring water gushing out. Xiaohua sat on the thunderboat, but his mind was immersed in the space. Looking at the rippling lake water, he felt a sense of accomplishment. If this young master goes to the QC again, I will definitely bring in some sea beasts. Xiaohua thought greedily. Disciples. At this time, the rumbling thunder boat had already left the shocking Thunder Sect. A late-stage Foundation establishment disciple stood in the middle of the thunderboat and shouted, "Disciples, enter the quiet room, 5 disciples per room." Hee, 5 disciples per room. Xiaohua raised his eyes and looked at the cabin door not far away. Just as he was about to leave, Cui Hongshan transmitted his voice, "Xiaohua, don't be anxious, follow I." Xiaohua was slightly stunned, and glanced at him unhappily. But his feet didn't stop, and he went in first. Inside the thunderboat, there were many separate quiet rooms. Xiaohua only glanced at them a little, and casually found a room to enter. That quiet room was empty, and there were no furnishings at all. Xiaohua walked to a corner and sat down cross-legged. He took out an azure spirit pill from his storage pouch, opened his mouth, and swallowed it, using his heart to refine the medicinal efficacy. Before Xiaohua went to Incloud Black Forest, he went to Bright City and asked Yu Qin to help him bid for the Yilian pill and azure spirit pill. When he returned from Incloud Black Forest, Yu Qin had already found a lot of medicinal pills. When he returned to the shocking Thunder Sect, Qian Diheng also gave him a storage pouch with a lot of azure spirit pills. These medicinal pills should be enough for Xiaohua to use for a while, and he didn't need to worry for a short period of time. Of course, when Qian Diheng saw that Xiaohua asked him to bid for so many azure spirit pills, he already understood. However, he tactfully didn't ask anything, which was completely different from Xiaohua's unruly attitude when he was alone. I still came back late. I couldn't send a message to Xue Xue. Xiaohua was somewhat regretful. Xue Xue is probably still in seclusion. If that wasn't the case, I would have already come to see you off. While Xiaohua was meditating with his eyes closed, several disciples came in one after another. However, these disciples didn't come in alone, but in groups of 2s and 3s, as if they had already discussed this beforehand. Some disciples saw that there was someone in the quiet room and immediately shrank back. Finally, 4 disciples walked in while muttering. These 4 disciples were all at the 12th layer of the Qi refining realm. When they saw that there was an early-stage foundation establishment senior in the quiet room, they were slightly stunned. Soon after, their brows relaxed, and they exchanged glances with each other. They respectfully walked in front of Xiaohua and bowed. Junior greets martial uncle. When Xiaohua heard this, he didn't raise his eyes, and there was no joy or sorrow on his face. When the 4 disciples saw this, their faces were slightly embarrassed. They knew that Xiaohua didn't want to be disturbed, so they all shut up and found an empty space to sit down cross-legged. As for Cui Hongshan, when he saw that Xiaohua actually ignored him, he was very angry in his heart. However, he slightly clenched his teeth, coldly snorted, and stood still, no longer greeting Xiaohua. When almost all the disciples of the Thunderous Thunder Palace had entered the quiet room, Cui Hongshan finally stepped forward. However, he didn't go to the quiet room, but instead turned around and walked towards the late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. Junior martial brother, why haven't you hurried into the quiet room yet? Seeing Cui Hongshan sit down, the late-stage foundation establishment old man didn't act too fierce and asked in a low voice, "Do you have something to ask?" When Cui Hongshan saw that old man's amiable expression, he had some confidence in his heart. He cupped his hands and said, "Disciple is Cui Hongshan from the Myriad Thunder Valley. May I ask for senior martial brother's name? If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Calm to vote for it." Chapter 22:30. Oh, so it's the helpless disciple. The old man returned the greeting. I'm Jin Yun. What's the matter, junior brother Cui? Cui Hongshan looked around and transmitted his voice. I want to ask, after we arrive at Huan Country, how will the disciples of Shocking Thunder Palace be distributed? Will we be organized according to the sect or randomly? Naturally, we'll be organized according to the sect and the Shocking Thunder Palace's usual division. Jin Yun didn't hide it and said with a smile, however, as for how we'll be organized, this old man doesn't know. This was already decided half a year ago when the disciples were selected. Senior brother Zhen. Cui Hongshan came forward and said with a smile, how could a teacher from half a year ago predict today's situation? It's impossible that there aren't any changes. Jin Yun frowned and said, what do you mean, junior brother Cui? Cui Hongshan took out a small storage pouch and stuffed it into Jin Yun's hands. He said with a smile, I'm from Quan Yu's Cui family. This is my Quan Yu's blood red stone. It's not that rare, but it has some use in refining. If senior brother Zhen likes it, you can pick it up and play with it. Jin Yun's frown deepened. He pushed the storage pouch back with his hand and shook his head. Junior brother Cui, you'd better make it clear. You and I are both disciples of Shocking Thunder Palace. If it's not too difficult, I can naturally agree. If it's too difficult, I'm afraid that even if I accept this blood red stone, I won't be able to. Cui Hongshan's face reddened. He couldn't keep the storage pouch in his hands for long, so he hurriedly put it away and said with an apologetic smile, "It's nothing. My myriad Thunder Valley only has 3 disciples. Besides eldest senior brother Xiangyang, junior brother Chui and I were all sent out. Junior brother Chui's cultivation has just reached the foundation establishment realm. I'm afraid that something will happen to him and I won't be able to face master." Strange. There's a problem. Xin Yun was puzzled. Generally speaking, your myriad Thunder Valley has 3 disciples, so sending out 1 is enough. Moreover, your junior brother Chui has just reached the foundation establishment realm, so he shouldn't be sent out. However, Xin Yun immediately smiled and said, "Of course, this is the decision of the Thunderous Palace's elders. We can't casually speak of it. If junior brother Chui wants to protect your little junior brother, you don't have to say anything to me. You are all fellow disciples of the same sect, so it's convenient for you to send someone out. I won't force you to separate. It's not that important." Chui Hongshan transmitted his voice again. "If it weren't for this war, I wouldn't have come here." He had already prepared the betrothal gifts for dual cultivation half a year ago. Is it because of this that this Chui and that person were selected to go to Huan country together? Junior brother Chui, you mean? Hearing that Chui Hongshan's dual cultivation had been disrupted by the war, Xinyun felt great sympathy for him and asked tentatively. Chui Hongshan's face turned even redder, and he said with a smile, "This Chui indeed thinks so. I want to separate my wife from this Chui so that we can take care of each other. Even if something happens, we don't have to worry about each other too much. Alas, this is difficult." Seeing that Chui Hongshan had indeed made such a request, Xinyun was a little troubled. "Our Thunder's Palace has sent out disciples from all the Thunder Palaces this time, and there are many female disciples. From what I know, these female disciples will definitely form a team with the male disciples in the future, but this team can't be led by the Thunder Palaces. So, this Chui wants to ask senior brother Zhen to make an exception." Chui Hongshan put his hands into his chest again. "Don't rush." Xinyun made a prompt decision to stop him, and asked again, "Which Thunder Palace is your dual cultivation partner from? What's her name?" "Senior brother Zhen, my dual cultivation partner is Dui Qiming from Thunderous Palace." Chui Hongshan was delighted and hurriedly said. "Oh, so she's a disciple from Thunderous Palace." Xinyun's face showed a trace of relief, and he said with a smile, "The leader of Thunderous Palace is an old acquaintance of mine. Moreover, the disciples of Thunderous Palace must be evenly distributed to all the Thunder Palaces. Your request, seems like I can still help you ask." Thank you, senior brother Zhen." Chui Hongshan was overjoyed and bowed. Then, he took out his storage pouch and stuffed it into Xinyun's hands. Hee. Unexpectedly, Xinyun didn't even take it. He waved his hand and said, "Junior brother Chui, if this old man guessed correctly, your storage pouch isn't filled with blood-red stones, right?" Chui Hongshan laughed and said, "It's just a small token of my appreciation. Since senior brother has to speak up for me, these favors are nothing." "You're wrong." Xinyun shook his head and said, "If it was any other day, this old man would accept junior brother Chui's gift. But not today." "Why?" Chui Hongshan was slightly taken aback and couldn't help but ask. "You are representing my thunder-controlling sect in this battle, and you are risking your lives to fight. Your request is for the sake of your relationship as a senior brother. The other is for the sake of your dual cultivation partner's love. Whether it's for public or private reasons, this old man will satisfy your request. If this old man accepts your gift because of such a small request, do you think this old man will still have any face left?" This. Chui Hongshan looked at each other in dismay. From the Chui family to the thunder-controlling sect, he had used spirit stones and spirit herbs to pave the way for many things. This small storage pouch had been given out countless times, but it was actually rejected today. This was truly beyond his expectations. Actually, many things are simple, but there are people who think too much about it. Jinyun smiled and said to Cui Hongshan, "You can go back now." This old man has already agreed, but this old man doesn't dare to promise you anything. If it's not done, junior brother Cui, don't blame this old man. Yes. Cui Hongshan felt a trace of warmth in his heart. However, an extremely awkward feeling arose again. What does Jinyun mean by this? Is he complaining that there aren't enough things in the storage pouch? But, he didn't even look at the storage pouch. If he had agreed, there was no reason for him to not accept the storage pouch. If he didn't accept the storage pouch, did that mean he had agreed or not? Even if he had agreed now, if he didn't give it his all, what should I do? He had already said that he knew the leader of the Thunder Converting Palace, which clearly said that he could do it. But in the end, he said that if it's not done. Sigh, I still took too few spirit stones. Not only was Cui Hongshan's thoughts turning rapidly, but Jinyun waved his hand and said, "Junior brother Cui, quickly enter the quiet room. There are still a few months before we reach Hing country, so junior brother Cui can use this time to nourish your true essence. Perhaps you can have a breakthrough. It's also a good thing for your junior brother and your lover." After saying that, Jinyun ignored Cui Hongshan and turned to leave, instructing the disciple controlling the thunder ship to speed up. Cui Hongshan entered the quiet room in a daze, his heart feeling extremely uneasy. Not giving away the spirit stones was actually more painful than giving away the spirit stones and not receiving any response. Chapter 22:31. However, when he found Xiaohua and saw that there were already 4 disciples inside, the fire in his heart couldn't help but burst out. "I, your father, am shamelessly colluding with people outside, and you, on the other hand, are hiding in a place to cultivate. If it weren't for Master's orders, I wouldn't care about your life or death." Immediately after, Cui Hongshan glared at Xiaohua, turned around and found the furthest quiet room. Without greeting the 3 aura refining disciples inside, he sat down. "Greetings, martial uncle." When the 3 aura refining disciples saw a foundation establishment disciple enter, they didn't dare to be negligent and hastily stood up to salute him. N. Cui Hongshan waved his sleeves and didn't return the salute. He also closed his eyes and meditated. The 3 aura refining disciples looked at each other with strange expressions on their faces. The northwest of the country of Shi was already very cold. Although it wasn't as cold as the country of Huan, it was a world of ice and snow. However, the mountains and forests were often covered in snow. Even the peaks of some high mountains and precipitous ridges were covered in white snow all year round. There were very few people from the secular world who could live here. Only at the edge of the mountains and forests, some mortals would gather in slightly warmer places. Naturally, they couldn't live by growing rice. Most of them hunted and dug out the spiritual herbs in the mountains and forests to make a living. Naturally, these spiritual herbs couldn't be compared to the spiritual herbs cultivators consumed. They were just some slightly older spiritual herbs that were extremely common in the eyes of cultivators. This vile environment was fatal to the people of the secular world, but to cultivators, it was extremely tempting. That was because the northwest of the country of Shi had dense spiritual energy and abundant natural resources. There were many spiritual herbs that could withstand the cold, and there were even more than 10 large and small spirit stone veins. Under these circumstances, not only were there many cultivation families, but there were also several cultivation sects. Among these cultivation families, the most famous ones were Skyscraper Ridges by Clan, Glacier Valleys May Clan, and Cool Breeze Mountains Nyo Clan. Their clan heads were all in the late stage of foundation establishment and were only a step away from entering the Gold Core realm. There were also many other small cultivation families, but they were all below the middle stage of foundation establishment and couldn't enter the eyes of the cultivation sects. As for the cultivation sects, there were the Ice Soul sect, the Snow Crow sect, the Pine Wave Ridge, and the Cold Mountain Enlightenment sect. The sect leaders of these sects were basically at the early or middle stage of the Gold Core realm. The strongest one was almost at the late stage of the Gold Core realm. Of course, including these cultivation families and sects, Sky Patrol City was the most powerful one. Sky Patrol City was one of the 7 major cities in the country of Xi. Its city lord, Perfected Shuiyu, was already an early nascent soul stage cultivator. Sky Patrol City was different from Jinghua City and Chiua City. It was built on the snowy highlands, at the peak of the snowy highlands. The entire city was like a fortress in the snow. Standing on the city walls, one could see the snowy highlands within a few thousand miles. From this point of view, Sky Patrol City was somewhat similar to Haoming City. However, there were both cultivators and people from the secular world in Haoming City. Since the Sky Patrol City was high up in the sky, it was impossible to come up without the help of the teleportation formation without flying techniques. Therefore, all the people in the city were cultivators. There was not a single person from the secular world. Usually, there were not many cultivators flying out of Sky Patrol City. Only the city guards of Sky Patrol City would go out at fixed intervals to patrol the area within a few hundred miles of Sky Patrol City. Most of the ordinary cultivators would use the teleportation formation. After all, this was the snowy highlands. Although the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was abundant, the weather was harsh. The cultivators who lived like princes would not waste their magic power to fight against the cold wind and snowstorms. However, in the past few years, the situation had changed greatly. Not only were there more cultivators flying in from the wind and snow, but there were also more cultivators who came in groups on flying artifacts. The streets of Sky Patrol City, which used to be slightly deserted, were now crowded. Needless to say, this was caused by the invasion of the Xi country by the sword cultivators of the Huan country. Of course, Sky Patrol City was still far from the border between the Huan country and the Xi country. The sword cultivators of the Huan country had not reached here yet. However, this was the largest city in the Xi country near the Huan country. It had always been the stronghold where the sword cultivators rested when they fought against the Dao sect. Regardless of whether it was the Xi country, the Meng country, or the Lian country, most of the cultivators gathered here. The leaders of the sects of the 3 countries were elected to command the battle against the sword cultivators. It was because of this that the number of cultivators increased. Some rogue cultivators, cultivation families, and even cultivators who were not selected by the sects gathered here. Some small auction gatherings and trading gatherings gradually became prosperous. Even the shops in Sky Patrol City became lively. It was as if the tension of the war had not reached here yet. However, this was normal. For tens of thousands of years, or even 100,000 years, the sword cultivators had invaded the Xi country, but they had never attacked Sky Patrol City. According to the records of Sky Patrol City, it was only 200,000 years ago that the sword cultivators occasionally attacked Sky Patrol City. However, only 3 years later, Sky Patrol City was seized by the Dao sect again. They chased the sword cultivators out of the Xi country. In addition, the governor of Sky Patrol City had always been a nascent soul cultivator. That was equivalent to the sect leader of the sword transformation realm. If the governor of Sky Patrol City wanted to participate in the war, then the sect leaders of the 3 major sects in the Xi country would definitely come. The sect leaders of Meng country and Lian country would also come. With these nascent soul cultivators, what danger would Sky Patrol City have? Therefore, the cultivators who did not participate in the war were not afraid of anything. If the sword cultivators came, they could just run away. However, what about the cultivators who participated in the war? On this day, it was snowing heavily like goose feathers, covering the entire sky. Sky Patrol City stood at the peak of the snowy region, and the entire city was covered in snow. It was not that Sky Patrol City did not have a defensive array, but this array was divided into several levels. The highest level could certainly block the snowflakes, but this would consume a lot of spirit stones. The Sky Patrol City had no reason to waste them. Even in such a snowy day, the cultivators did not stop their footsteps. Many of them flashed with brilliance, blocking the snowflakes outside their bodies. From time to time, they entered and exited the city gate of Sky Patrol City. Make way, make way. A loud voice sounded from afar. There's a battle report from the Western Front. Western Front? What's wrong with the Western Front? When the cultivators heard this, they all dodged and made way for the sky leading to the gate of the Sky Patrol City. A few older cultivators stopped in mid-air and looked at an early-stage Foundation establishment cultivator who was wearing the Sky Patrol City's guard uniform and holding a snow-white flag in his hand. They frowned and asked loudly. The battle report has to be sent to the Yanxi mansion before the seniors in the mansion can send it out. I dare not make the decision without permission. The city guard unceremoniously cupped his hands and his figure did not stop in mid-air. He swept past these cultivators and rushed into Sky Patrol City. Sigh, it's been nearly a year. This confrontation with the Huan country, there's never been any good news. This time, looking at your city guard's anxious expression, I'm afraid it's not good news. A middle-stage Foundation establishment cultivator sighed and said to a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator next to him. The old man was flying towards Sky Patrol City. He glanced at the cultivator who spoke to him and nodded. The sword cultivators of the Huan country have always been more powerful than us. Moreover, this time, they struck first to gain the initiative and came prepared. It would be strange if we could drive them out at the beginning of the battle. In this old man's opinion, this time will be the same as before. There won't be anything special. The cultivators of the three countries are gradually gathering. When the disciples of the various sects and clans arrive, our strength will also increase. The disadvantage of this battle will gradually be reversed. In the end, the sword cultivators will still be driven away. That's right, I think so too. The middle-stage Foundation establishment cultivator said with a smile, the sword cultivators and our Dao sect cultivators have not crossed swords once or twice. For so many years, they have been holed up in the Huan country. It's unlikely that they will rush out this time. Actually, the sword cultivators and our Dao sect don't have much of a grudge. Other than this battle, the disciples of the various countries usually cross swords with each other, and there hasn't been any foul play. The old man was very disapproving. I heard that the sword cultivators attacked our Shi country with the excuse that their swordsmen went missing in Meng country. And the senior who went to look for them was also killed. Don't you think this is nonsense? If any cultivator from the three kingdoms of cultivation were to die, why would the sects attack and kill them? Our three countries have suffered many losses in Huan country, but we haven't attacked Huan country on a large scale. That's right. The middle-stage Foundation establishment cultivator agreed. If it's possible, why don't our three countries attack Huan country and kill all the sword cultivators? Ignorant. The old man scolded. If we kill the sword cultivators, who will resist the millions of soul cultivators in Meng Mountain? Don't forget that soul cultivators are extremely difficult to deal with. The flying swords of the sword cultivators are the nemesis of soul spells. Our Dao sect spells won't work. Yes, I have indeed forgotten the pros and cons of this layer. The Foundation Establishment cultivator smiled apologetically. Thinking about the unpredictable soul spells of the soul cultivators, I almost feel my hair stand on end. Let's go. After entering the city gate, Yanxi Mansion is just ahead. Let's go and see what happened. As the two spoke, they had already arrived at the city gate. In front of the city gate, which was dozens of feet high, stood dozens of guards of the Sky Patrol City. Most of them were in the Qi Refinement realm, and only a few were in the Foundation Establishment realm. The highest cultivation level was actually close to the middle stage Foundation Establishment realm. Seniors, do you have an identity token issued by the 3 countries? Two Qi Refinement disciples respectfully stepped forward to salute and stopped the two. I am a cultivator of the Rock Border sect. This time, I happen to be in Qi country to gain experience. This is my token. The middle stage Foundation Establishment old man clapped his hand and took out a token and handed it to the disciple. Oh senior, please wait a moment. The disciple reached out and took it. With a clap of his hand, he took out a mirror-like magical item from his storage bag and placed it on the token. When he activated his magic power, the mirror flashed with white light. Within the white light, there were 3 halos of different colors. One of the halos actually revealed the image of the old man. Senior, please. After the disciple finished checking, he returned it to the old man and smiled apologetically. Senior's token was issued jointly by the 3 countries. The magic power fluctuations in it are the same. Just now, he wanted to capture him, but before he could do so, the other party had already gone far away. He estimated that even if he used all his strength, he would not be able to catch up with him. At the gate of Sky Patrol City, more than a dozen people were discussing. Obviously, they were very surprised by the appearance of the beast cultivator. There were even cultivators who spoke to the city guards of Sky Patrol City and asked, "The beast cultivator dares to come to Sky Patrol City, where is our city lord? He is a nascent soul cultivator, he can capture this arrogant guy with just a little finger. Hee, fellow cultivator, don't add another round, let's quickly invite him into the city." The city guard in the middle stage of Foundation Establishment smiled apologetically and said, "How can my city lord lower himself to the same level as this guy? He doesn't even go to the Yanxi Mansion, and he doesn't even ask about this war. How can we let him take action? Isn't this embarrassing my Sky Patrol City? I want to report this matter to the seniors in the Yanxi Mansion and see how they decide." With that, the city guard ignored these cultivators who were discussing and went straight into the city gate, walking towards a tall building not far from the city gate. The buildings of Sky Patrol City were somewhat similar to Weeping Moon City. They were all huge stones. These stones were piled up and the style was very rough. It looked quite similar to the appearance of the cultivators in the northern part of the country of Xi. However, although it was rough, it was somewhat different. Most of the stones in Weeping Moon City were rocks, but among the stones in Sky Patrol City, there were many ice cubes mixed in. These ice cubes were either crystal clear or transparent, or there were strange crystals condensed in the transparency, emitting a strange brilliance. These ice cubes were the characteristics of the snowy plateau. The surface of the snowy plateau was much inferior to the glaciers of the Huan country, but the bottom layer was not inferior to the glaciers. In particular, these ice cubes had been here for many years. Under the heavy pressure and extreme cold, they had long solidified. They were really not inferior to the stones of Weeping Moon City. Even with some temperature and some ordinary fire, it might not melt a single drop. Chapter 2233. The Sky Patrol City used these ice blocks to build buildings. It was quite interesting. In this Sky Patrol City, many shops were completely built with transparent ice blocks. Looking from the outside, everything inside could be seen at a glance. Moreover, this ice block building, on a clear day, reflected the sunlight with a colorful halo, magnificent beyond compare. The huge building that the city guards hurried to was different from the ordinary buildings of the Sky Patrol City. The stones used in this building were dark blue in color, each stone was several feet in size, and there was a faint layer of brilliance, which seemed to be part of the bluestone itself, but also seemed to be a strange formation. The cultivators who often walked around the Sky Patrol City knew that there were only 2 residences built with bluestone in the Sky Patrol City. One was the residence of the City Lord of the Sky Patrol City, Master Shuayu, and the other was here, Yanxi Residence, which was prepared by the Sky Patrol City for the 3 countries of cultivation. At this time, there were already a lot of cultivators in the Yanxi Mansion. However, most of these cultivators were at the late foundation establishment stage. Looking at their expressions, they didn't feel particularly nervous because they were involved in the battle of sword cultivators. There were even a few female cultivators standing under a tree unique to the snowy highlands. They were looking at a bunch of red flowers and chattering about something. These female cultivators also maintained their appearance and looked pleasing to the eye. Slightly different from the relaxed atmosphere in the courtyard, inside the Yanxi residence, in the depths of the layers, inside an inverted triangular pagoda-shaped building, more than 10 middle Jindan stage cultivators were frowning slightly, whispering from time to time, seemingly discussing something. A middle Jindan stage old man, dressed in a navy blue robe, whispered to a white-haired old woman beside him for a moment, then looked around, clapped his hands together and said in a loud voice, "Fellow cultivators, we have already received the message from the Sky Patrol City, and have been discussing it. Now that we have a plan, why don't we take it out and discuss it openly, and decide how we should deal with it? That's how it should be." A short old man with triangular eyes said with a sneer on his face. "Today, the sword cultivators of the Huan country are really hateful. They actually destroyed the cultivation families of my Shi country. If we don't face them head-on and let them know the prowess of our Dao sect, how will our Dao sect have the face to stand tall in the Dawn Rain continent?" That's right, that's right. Fellow Daoist Wang, please open the meeting hall so that we can make a decision. The group of cultivators said indignantly. All right. Wang Daoyu was the leader of the 7 skills sects battle against the Huan country's sword cultivators. His name was Wang Yi. When he heard everyone's agreement, he nodded his head and said, "Good." Then, he clapped his hands and took out a strange jade pendant from his storage pouch. This jade pendant was made up of 3 diamond-shaped pieces placed together. Wang Yi stretched out his hand and pointed at one of the dark green rhombus. That rhombus suddenly emitted an extremely dazzling light, illuminating the entire building in green. With a loud peng sound, a fist-sized circle of light flew out from the rhombus and rushed towards the top of everyone's heads. Wang, with a series of noises, 3 thin slits appeared in the snowy sky above everyone's heads. The slits grew bigger and bigger, finally forming 3 oval-shaped entrances. These 3 entrances filled the entire area above everyone's heads, forming the shape of the Chinese character. "This old man will go first," Wang Yi said and put away the jade pendant. He activated his magic power and flew into one of the entrances. Then, the other 10 or so cultivators did the same. However, they all flew in through different entrances. After everyone had entered, the 3 entrances rotated at the same time and gradually superimposed on each other. As they rotated, they gradually shrank and finally disappeared. After Wang Yi flew in, he was faced with a hemispherical space. The top of his head was transparent, allowing him to clearly see the scene in the sky above Sun Tian City. The palm-sized snowflakes seemed to be floating down from above. Inside the space, there were several layers of shining praying mats. The first layer had 9, the second layer had 18, the third layer had 30, and the fourth layer had more than 10. These praying mats quietly floated in the air, not moving at all. Wang Yi glanced around and clapped his hands. He took out the token given by the sect leader of 7 Skills sect. Under the activation of his magic power, the token flew out. One of the 9 praying mats on the first layer shone brightly and sucked the token over. Then, a beam of light flew out from the praying mat and covered Wang Yi. Wang Yi's body was sucked into the beam of light and landed on the praying mat. After Wang Yi sat down, the other 10 or so cultivators also entered. They each took out their tokens and landed on different praying mats. After the cultivators sat down, the dozens of praying mats started to rotate again. The trajectory was very mysterious. It seemed to be very fast, but in fact, it was extremely slow. Moreover, the other cultivators did not change at all. It was as if they were sitting on the praying mats without moving. Wang Yi glanced at them and nodded slightly. On the first layer of the 9 praying mats, there were 5 cultivators in the middle stage gold core realm. They were Gao Wei from Xuanyan School of Shi Country, De Sun from Taibai Sect of Meng Country, Hang Li from Paradise Sect of Lian Country, and Yuan Zhongjua from Kunlun School. On the second layer of the praying mats were either middle stage gold core realm or early stage gold core realm cultivators. There were a total of 8 of them. They were Xiang Ming from Huanhua Sect of Shi Country, Yuan Iguang from Lanli Sect of Shi Country, Qing Jiao from Imo Sang Mountain of Shi Country, Li Qingshu from Xian Lu Sect of Meng Country, Ping Dai from Su Yen School of Meng Country, Shou Qingping from Qinya Ridge of Meng Country, Su Jia from Wanjiang Sect of Lian Country, and Ko Xiangling from Yongyi School of Meng Country. Fellow Taoists, it has been nearly 10 months since the battle between the 3 cultivation countries and the sword cultivators of Huan Country. We are the first batch to be sent out to fight. The second batch of disciples and even the third batch of disciples from the cultivation families have been sent out. I believe it won't be long before they arrive at Sky Patrol City. Wang Yi cleared his throat and said loudly. His voice was not loud and he did not deliberately use his magic power. However, his voice could be heard clearly in the entire space. In these 10 months, our Dao sect disciples have fought with sword cultivators more than 100 times. The scale of the battles varied and they covered a wide area. Some were in the west and north of Shi Country, and some were even in the north of Lian Country. The casualties of our Dao sect disciples are similar to before. I believe each sect has their own statistics. This old man won't talk about it here. Fellow Daoist Wang. When will the second batch of disciples arrive? A fat cultivator with a bald head rubbed his greasy head and said with a grin, although our Thousand-Leaf Ridge did not lose many disciples, we can't be compared to your big sections. If this continues, I won't be able to explain it to the sect master. Wang Yi glanced at Zhou Qingping from Thousand-Leaf Ridge and said with a smile, this time, the sword cultivators of Huan Country invaded. Our 13 sects were the first batch. Naturally, we have to bear the brunt and keep the sword cultivators of Huan Country out of Shi and Lian Country. What's the big deal about losing some disciples? Won't their lives be in danger when they go out for training? Besides, if fellow Daoist Zhou can't explain it, can we? Especially the actions of the sword cultivators of Huan Country this time are quite different. Didn't fellow Daoist Zhou hear it just now? The sword cultivators actually killed the entire Zhao family of Clear Cave and took away their spirit stones, jade slips, and elixirs. This is not common in the past years. Also, you said something about losing disciples. Aren't you making things difficult for me? Hee, I just want the disciples of Changbai sect and Immortal Ascension sect to hurry over. Zhou Qingping was still grinning and was not angry. Fellow Daoist Zhou, don't worry. Wang Yi pointed with his finger. In less than a month, the seats in the conference hall will be full. The time for our Dao sect to attack the sword cultivators will come. Oh. The disciples of Changbai sect will arrive soon. Zhou Qingping still asked. Not only the cultivators of Meng country, but the Shenghua sect and Imperial Thunder sect of Xi, as well as the Black Heaven sect and Nanming sect of Lian country will also arrive in time. Wang Yi smiled and turned to a thin and tall elder wearing a light blue Daoist robe. Don't you think so, fellow Daoist Gao? That thin and tall elder was Xuanyan sect's Gao Wei. When he heard Wang Yi's question, he smiled and said, 7 Possibilities sect is the hall master on duty today. We will listen to fellow Daoist Wang's orders. Fellow Daoist Wang is right. According to what I know, fellow Daoist Lu Xinwu of 7 Possibilities sect is only 10 days away. Imperial Thunder sect's Thunderboat is also 30 days away. As for Changbai sect and Immortal Ascension sect of Meng country, I don't know. Did fellow Daoist Zhou hear that? Wang Yi smiled and asked. Fellow Daoist Zhou is just worried that the sword cultivators will do something strange. An old woman shrieked. There is no need to explain anything to him. I am just curious. Why did the sword cultivators kill Clear Cave's Xiao family? The war has just begun. Are they going to ask for a nascent soul senior to come out? That's right, fellow Daoist Wang, this is very strange. A middle-aged looking cultivator frowned and said. It was Tai Ching sect's De Sun. De Sun sat on the first floor's praying mat. Wang Yi couldn't help but pay attention to him. He smiled and said, fellow Daoist De Sun is right. I also don't understand. This kind of killing of family clans usually only happens in the later stages of the war when there are nascent soul seniors and us golden core cultivators. There is no reason for the sword cultivators to come so early. The battle between the sword cultivators and our Dao sect is the one that doesn't have a reason. A female cultivator sitting on the second floor sighed and said, the sword cultivators can't beat our cultivation 3 kingdoms. They are like grasshoppers after autumn, forcefully tormenting themselves. Every once in a while, they will cause trouble for us. Our cultivation 3 kingdoms have to go to war and lose a lot of disciples. Their corpses are also scattered everywhere. Only then will they unwillingly retreat. What's the point of doing this every time? Su Yan sect's fellow Daoist Peng Dai is right. Tong Yi sect's female cultivator Ko Xiangling also nodded and said, the battle between the sword cultivators and the Dao sect is really laughable. Every time, the casualties are huge. Rather than calling it a battle, it is better to call it an experience for the disciples. Chapter 22-34. The 2 fairies are truly merciful. Wang Yi nods his head and says, that's what we think. We don't want to exterminate the sword cultivators. But the sword cultivators don't think so. They are bent on destroying my Dao sect, and their sword cultivators want to monopolize the entire sect. Dominate the Dawn Rain continent. If it's not like that, then why are sword cultivators always the ones who start the battles of the sword Dao? What kind of brains do they have? Huang Feng from Rock Border sect sneers, how many sword cultivators do they have? How many people do our Dao sect have? Our Dao sect can drown them with a mouthful of spit from each person. Ha ha ha. Huang Feng's words are very amusing, causing everyone in the discussion hall to burst into laughter. Tomorrow, this old man will send out the Inspect Heavenly Command, telling the disciples of our Dao sect from the 3 cultivation countries to come to Hing country and drown their sword cultivators with a mouthful of spit. Wang Yi convulses with laughter and can't help but say. Once these words are said, everyone laughs even more, not caring about the battle at all. The most ridiculous thing is that the sword cultivators actually pushed the blame of their missing sword cultivators to our Dao sect. They said that our Changbai sect disciple kidnapped Zhang Yutong and Zhang Yuhe. Our Changbai sect disciple is only a Qi refinement realm and has already disappeared. How could he kidnap their bright sword cultivators? Su Yan sect's Ping Dai is also grinning from ear to ear. She holds back and says, back then, Changbai sect was very careful, the other sects also didn't want to anger the sword cultivators. In the end, what's even more ridiculous is that their illusory sword cultivators died again. They are still blaming our Dao sect. This time it's not Changbai sect, it's our Su Yan sect. They even slandered my senior brother Zhu Qinghe, saying that he was the one who gave the orders. Does he have a brain? Senior brother Zhu is only at Golden Core middle stage, how could he kill 2 illusory sword cultivators? He even dares to drag out 2 nascent soul seniors. Isn't this even more ridiculous? Which nascent soul senior doesn't specialize in cultivation techniques and chases after 2 illusory sword cultivators? Fellow Daoist Peng is right. Yuan Zhongyu of the Kunlun sect said, those swordsmen called Duan Yuming and Wang Shuyao are really hateful. They actually dared to attack and kill cultivators in the 3 kingdoms of cultivation. If not for the sect leader's order, I would have killed them long ago. Hee, this Li also has the same idea. Xian Le sect's Li Qingshu laughed, isn't it just right now? Sword cultivator, wash your neck and obediently stretch it out so that we can vent our anger. Ha ha ha, the group of cultivators laughed again. After everyone finished laughing, Wang Yi said, since the sword cultivators are so generous, we don't have to not give them face. They dared to annihilate my Dao sect's family, so we must return the favor. Since my 7 skills sect is on duty today and I have disciples near Clear Cave, my 7 skills sect will make a trip there first. Good. Fellow Daoist Wang, since my Xian Le sect also has disciples near Clear Cave, how about we join hands and slap the sword cultivators? Xian Le sect's Li Qingshu also clapped his hands and shouted. Great! Wang Yi was clapping his hands and cheering when he saw something shaking in front of everyone. A mirror appeared in mid-air, emitting a milky white brilliance. Which teacher sent the message? Seeing this, Wang Yi was not surprised and hurriedly stood up. All the other cultivators also stood up from the praying mats. When Wang Yi picked up the jade and channeled his mana, the mirror showed a clean-looking old man with a bronze Dao crown on his head. So it's Xian Tian sect's Daoist Pin Xian. Everyone knew him and hurriedly bowed, greetings, Daoist Pin Xian. No need to be so polite. Daoist Pin Xian flicked his sleeves and said, my Xian Tian sect's disciples are divided into 2 groups. The earliest group should be arriving at Sun Tian City soon. The latest group was sent to the border between Huan Country and Lian Country, Fengmeng Mountain Range. They have already been dispatched. I'm informing you today because my Xian Tian sect's disciples in Huan Country sent a message. This time, not only the sword cultivators are dispatched, but also the weapon cultivators and beast cultivators. Especially the bird cultivators who haven't participated in battles for a long time, and the giant clan who claim to have ancient bloodlines were also invited out from the bottom of the glacier by the sword cultivators. You have to be careful. Yes, thank you, Daoist Pin Xian. Everyone hurriedly bowed. Daoist Pin Xian flicked his sleeves, and the mirror dimmed and disappeared. Damn it, we're rich. Lonely Sex Yuaniguang, who had been silent all this while, blurted out, the bird cultivators have always been aloof and are known as the sons of the sky. Their flying speed is extremely fast, far beyond our Dao sex cultivators. Even the sword cultivators who have become one with the sword may not be able to catch up with them. Before everyone could speak, there was some fluctuation in the air in front of Wang Yi. Wang Yi reached out and pointed at the fluctuation. A hazy brilliance flashed, and a Foundation Establishment City Guard of Sun Tian City appeared from the brilliance. He bowed to everyone and said, I'm a city guard of Sun Tian City. I have an urgent matter to report to all of you. Go ahead. Wang Yi nodded slightly, and everyone sat down. After the city guard told them about the beast cultivators who wanted to rush into Sun Tian City, he said, the flying speed of this beast cultivator is too amazing. I'm afraid that the city guard and I won't be able to catch up. If possible, I'd like to ask Senior to send someone to protect Sun Tian City with us. You may leave. Wang Yi pondered for a moment, then flicked his sleeve and said, report this matter to the city lord first. The disciples of the three kingdoms of cultivation are not complete yet. Wait for the disciples of Changbai sect and Imperial Thunder sect to come. They have the flying sword technique and the thunder escape technique, so they should be able to use it. Yes, I'll take my leave. The disciple bowed, and the brilliance around him revolved, then he slowly disappeared from the spot. Fellow Taoist Wang, spiritual master Pin Xian really hit the nail on the head. Xiang Ming of Huanhua sect shook his head and said, according to the city guard of Sun Tian City, wasn't it the bird cultivator from Huan country who was probing just now? I'm afraid that this bird cultivator has fused with a spiritual beast like Zhangzhenqian in his body. His flying speed and height are beyond the reach of ordinary cultivators like us. They're really bold. Yongyi Sect's Ko Xiangling pursed her lips and said, they actually dared to enter Shi country. They came to Sun Tian City to probe. Where did they get the token from? And it's the same image as the one in the token. The bird cultivator's movement is extremely fast. When fighting with our Taoist sect cultivators, they have a lot of advantages. As long as they get close, most of our Taoist sect cultivators are helpless. If they don't have a tyrannical protective magic weapon, most of them will end up dead. Hing Zhao of Utopia faction frowned and said, we have to inform the disciples of this matter immediately. Don't let them suffer a great loss due to their carelessness. As for why the bird cultivator rashly probes Sun Tian City, I'm afraid he wants to see the defense of Sun Tian City and the strength of the various sects. He dares to come just because he has the flying technique. It's a pity that Changbai sect and Imperial Thunder sect are the second batch to come. Otherwise, we can let the disciples of these two sects compete with the bird cultivator. Gao Wei of Xuanyan sect nodded and said, if you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for recommendation or monthly votes. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.